Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined, as always, by my co-host, John Luke Garofalo and Coop A. Fiasco. What's up, guys?
Good morning.
Morning. Wow, that was beautiful, JL.
Thank you.
Can you do an entire song?
I can do an entire song.
Let's hear one more verse. Just the next line of that song. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning. I love you. Good morning.
Wow. I'm just blown away. We're going to start every morning from now on with a slight serenade from JL, just enough to get your morning bowel movement moving. JL is going to sing it right out of you.
That was strong,
a little bit of coffee, a little bit of JL, and it's going to be flowing smoothly at 7 a.m.
Right before we started the show, Keith got in our ear, and Keith was like, "You're listening to the smooth sounds of Keith." Yeah, I'm going to start doing that.
That had me rattled, actually. I actually did not like that at all. But your song, I did enjoy.
Also, Craig in the chat saying, fellas, I think our puppy has been listening to this show with me too much in the AM. 4:30, wake to him pooping in the bed.
No, in the bed?
No. In the bed, dude. So Craig,
he was trying to let you know, Craig. He was trying to say, hurry up. And you just didn't get there.
I love how he was like, I gotta go. You know what? I'm just going to go, and I'm going to do it right here in this bed where they are.
He'll protect me if I'm close to him.
So it's basically afternoon for Craig. He's already had himself a day.
Yeah, it's already cleaned up. He's felt that pain.
Those puppy poops, though, you got to watch. They can come at any given time. Yeah. My favorite part about potty training a puppy is when you just like sprint holding a dog that's already like leaking poop and pee. This small creature like, no, stop it, wait. And there's like pee squirting and poop coming out, and you're just running around the house with this adorable little vile thing, like trying to get outside. Oh, good morning, Fantasy Dog. Welcome, man. He said, I'm here. Morning to you. Whew, speaking of dogs, thank God Fantasy Dog made it over here. And we got Tommy saying morning, gents. What's up, Tommy? Jolly Rancher. My mom, so nice. I love it. She loves your singing voice, Dale. Bright and early this a.m.
I love you, Mama Bruneville.
I love that I get to wake up and talk football with you guys. So that's what we're going to do. We got some NFL news that we need to go over bright and early this morning. So we talked about Aaron Rodgers talking about what he saw on the screen, what our theories were around that. But he clarified a little bit, says that what he saw on the Jumbotron had nothing to do with the 2-point conversion. He said just enough to spark speculation, including a theory that he saw an image from a Buccaneers tablet on the video screen. Coop, you making JL and I broke this down a little bit. What we think Aaron Rodgers saw on that screen. You think there's anything to this? You think he truly saw something on that screen that gave him the edge in that win?
It's really hard to say, dude. It really is hard to say. And especially with these guys, dude, what they think gives them an edge might not even matter to us. Like I've heard stories about guys that like see which toe the quarterback is leaning on, and that tells them whether it's a pass or run. Like little things like that where we'd be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So it could be something like that. I don't know. But it could be, I like to think that it was something like crazy. Like he saw like Brady like wink at somebody or something, you know. Cameron Brady, he's like a break go by, and he was like,
I was like, oh shoot.
He's like a smooch.
That's our working theory. Our working theory was that he was on ayahuasca and the screen was talking to him and actually communicated to him Queen's Gambit. Like the players on the screen started moving around and he could see it forming in front of him. That's where we're leaning here. But I guess a tablet could happen as well.
Yeah, I guess that's reasonable.
So like I said, something boring like that.
Yeah, something boring.
Something completely normal like that. It could have easily been.
We got Maria in the chat this morning. Good morning, Maria. Welcome.
Morning.
After Sunday's win by the Dolphins over Buffalo, Miami receiver Tyreek Hill provided locker room comments that qualified in some circles as performance art. He was quoted as saying, I can't wait to go against Eli Apple, man. after being informed by reporters that they were playing the Bengals next week. He said, I owe you. I'm here. The cheetah is here. That's it. And Tyreek Hill owes Apple because Apple did his job last year in the playoffs whenever the Chiefs and the Bengals played each other. The Chiefs led the Bengals 21-10 late in the first half. Kansas City got greedy. Patrick Mahomes was trying to throw the ball to Hill, and Apple tackled Hill short of the goal line. So Tyreek Hill thinks he's got some beef to settle in the game this weekend.
I like that. Tyreek Hill he's quickly becoming this Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek Hill on the Chiefs is a little reserved. In Miami, he's saying whatever he feels like saying. I especially enjoyed his comments about the butt punt there. But guys like him, Kadarius Toney, I say we just get the microphone in front of them all the time, because everything they say is gold. Always mic'd up, dude, those guys. I'm down for it. I'm here for it. Bring Antonio Brown back too.
Put him on the Dolphins.
Put them all in the house.
I'm here for that smoke. That's all we want is a smoke.
Yeah, I want a Heisman House style commercial, but it's just all of those guys that we just named in a house in the NFL.
Just complete troublemakers.
It's kind of crazy in those Heisman commercials now seeing actual college players in it.
Yeah, they got they got Bryce Young in there now, right? Isn't that who they in that most recent commercial? Yeah. It is weird. You know who's killing the commercial game right now? I say right now, they've been killing it. Every time one of the commercials comes. No, Peyton Manning can lick my feet. He can lick my feet.
I like how that was the nice censored alternative that you came up with.
Yeah.
Like you're in a kindergarten class. You're like, he can lick my feet.
Well, okay, because here's what I was going to say. I didn't want to say too aggressive, and Peyton, I don't wish that upon you. But most of the other things he could lick send an entirely different message, right? Like if I said lick my ears, that's really sending the wrong message to Peyton Manning. Feet, unless he's specifically into it, it's still pretty nasty.
And to lick my ears is I wouldn't be sure whether you that could have been that you really liked the commercials.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I didn't want to send the wrong message over here.
Peyton Manning's commercials, he can lick my ears any day. Love those commercials.
My lobes are his.
But anyway, Simon, I believe you were going to tell us about a different player.
I know. I was going to tell you about Little Caesars commercials. Is where I was going with that one. Speaking of
not even a player,
not even a player. Little Caesars absolutely killing it on the commercial game. Their commercials are consistently above average. Every time one comes on, I at least chuckle a little bit. It's like that girl looks at Matthew Stafford in the face and goes, "Pizza, pizza." I just love her so much. She's iconic. She's the hero of the NFL season.
I do like that one.
Oh, that's the important one. Maria in here saying that one is good. What's up, Maria? Good morning.
You get a good impersonation of it too, Simon. I knew exactly what commercial you're talking about as soon as you said it.
I practice that one every day in the mirror. Craig said, don't tell Rex Ryan to lick your feet. Oh, don't threaten me with a good time. I'm going to tell Rex Ryan whatever I so please, Craig. We had a question in here bright and early this morning from Adam Weber. Adam wanted to know, should I add Josh Palmer or Greg Dorchester?
The Dorchester.
I think what that was supposed to say is Greg Dortch or Elijah Moore.
I was born in the Dorchness. So both these guys to me are kind of expiring assets to a certain degree, unfortunately. I mean, if we're talking dynasty, then I would want Josh Palmer. I think
are we all expiring assets?
At the end of the day.
JL, stop it.
JL
question my existence at 6:09 a.m. on a Wednesday.
JL has ayahuasca this morning. Yeah. So
what was that, Aaron?
What are you seeing on the JL? What are you seeing on the Jumbotron, boy?
It's Aaron Rodgers giving me answers.
What are you seeing, bud? Yeah. So Greg Dortch, I mean, the thing is I would add Greg Dortch to those two. If you have a spot and you have to add someone, just because sometimes these guys don't go back in the bottle when they're producing the way he is. I mean, he's getting 10 looks a week. I was at the game, man. He was getting open underneath, making the plays. The scary part is that he's doing exactly what Rondale Moore does, and Rondale Moore might do that better than him, but we don't know that for sure. We've seen time and time again that sometimes a guy from down the depth chart can just perform better than the guys above it. I mean, Jacoby Myers has fended off waves and waves of players drafted and traded for above him. So I would go with him. Josh Palmer, I think, ends up easily the third fiddle on that team once Keenan Allen gets back.
So Elijah Moore was included in this as well. Would you prefer him over the other two options, or is he in that same tier as you?
Oh, he's way above those guys.
Okay, so between Josh Palmer, Greg Dortch, and Elijah Moore, you're adding Elijah because instead of Dortchist, it was supposed to say Dortch, comma, or E Moore.
Yeah, why did I just have to talk about Greg Dortch if Elijah Moore?
You guys just made me talk about Josh Palmer for 5 minutes. Yeah, Nobody stopped me.
I'm going to start asking questions like, would you rather roster Keontae Ingram, Sony Michel, and then like 20 minutes after you're done, I'm going to be like, or Saquon Barkley.
Barkley, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess it would be Barkley, but think about what I said before that if you're looking for a second player.
I think with a lot of these waiver ads, you got to ask yourself that question. Like, are conditions going to change moving forward? You know what I mean? Like, we run into it with like the people ask me about Gerald Everett. I'm like, well, yeah, Keenan Allen's coming back. Zach Ertz has multiple wide receivers coming back, but Elijah Moore, that offense is what it is. They have all the pieces, which means that if anything, if somebody gets hurt, like Garrett Wilson briefly left the game this week, then it goes up for him. And he just got 10 targets this week in the iteration of the offense they already have. So Elijah Moore, and he plays more snaps than all the wide receivers on that team. So Elijah Moore, far and above those other guys for me.
Fully agree. Lucius, what's up? Good morning, my man. Welcome in. And welcome in. Double welcome in to Lucius over there. And Fantasy Dog, I saw in the chat, JL saying, yes, we are moving towards our expiration date. And then he said, I'm much closer than you are. Just coming in, throwing it. JL, you're causing existential crises, plural, in the chat this morning. You gotta chill on that on a Wednesday morning. Good thing he muted himself so he can't cause any more crises for anybody else.
I said, you never know, man. I could expire at any moment.
We gotta get one of those the clown nose is getting here. Have those been in order? Right?
I've been waiting to get your address before I send it.
I sent that to you, dude. No,
you send me your address.
I'd like to think that I might have. It's on the show sheet, dude. You didn't read it?
No,
come on, JL.
Never.
Only Simon reads it.
Keith filled that out. I'm not doing
dude,
that.
I tell you right now, dude. Anyone that saw the episode of Coop and the Hogs, there was no show sheet.
There is no show sheet. No
show sheet. Yeah, and I guess I'm just the lame guy who shows up and makes us operate off half of a show sheet over here. Like the other half, we're free balling. We're free balling half of it. I'm not insane, right? Like I'm not insane where it's like, oh, we must stick to the rules. But I'm gonna do a little bit left in there.
Yeah, a little bit of free ball.
Well, no free ball, just one ball out. Just peek it out one leg. Instead of putting both of them out there. With Josh Allen, this is a perfect segue. Josh Allen was asked about his heated exchange with Christian Wilkins after the Bills-Dolphins game. And he said there were some things I didn't appreciate down there that was going on. And he was asked about if Christian Wilkins grabbed his groin. And he said he's been known for that going back from college. I should know that and shouldn't let it get the best of me. And Christian Wilkins is known for that going back to college. If you remember, there's a picture of him that circulated after the Clemson-Ohio State bowl game, the first time they played. And Christian Wilkins got about 2 knuckles deep in an Ohio State player up that butt and got just absolutely roasted for it because you can't do that in a football game. You can't do that to the opposing players.
But under the pile, though, I mean, Bill Romanowski used to just like snap dude's fingers like that. That's just like
too much, man.
Think about like the worst situation you could be in, and then making it completely worse by like a dude just like touching your butt. You know what I mean? You're already in a big pile of sweaty dudes, and now you got somebody touching your
worse.
Like,
well,
yeah.
Every time Clemson plays, without fail, I know I will get one image sent to my phone and one image only. It is the Clemson paw, but with just like poop on the fingers, like just on the tips right there. And he sends it to me with a little gif of Christian Wilkins in a Clemson jersey, just butt scooping an Ohio State player.
Who is this?
My uncle sends that to me every single week. He's going to send me a poop covered paw emoji.
Yeah, I don't know. Just Christian Wilkins, like you don't want to be a known groin grabber. You know, it's just not a good title.
Yeah, not cool. I mean, he's already kind of established that reputation. Like if Josh Allen was asked about it and he immediately said like, oh yeah, he's known for that. He's known for that. Like he's got a reputation already. Either dive into it, embrace it, or run the other way, Christian Wilkins. You got two options right here.
One of the few workplaces where you can embrace that title.
Yeah. Yeah, for real though.
Most places most jobs that's an HR problem. In this one, Josh Allen's like, yeah, that little rascal, you know.
Yeah. He sexually assaulted me, but what are you gonna do? I was in the pile.
Not again. Yeah.
Again.
One other job where it's like, he sexually assaulted me, but I was in the pile, so you know.
Get it together, Christian Wilkins. Keep your fingers out of butts as a general rule. That's like one of the few rules we have on this show. No fingers in butts. I think Christian Wilkins could do better to establish that rule on the field as well. Guys, we got some more news coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about butts, football, and everything else that we've hit on this morning. We'll be playing a couple games today as well, some fantasy detectives and some hypothetically, as well as a new game that we're calling the Goodell test. You'll have to wait around to see what that is. And our friend, as always on Wednesday, Alex Korf, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, creator of the almighty trade charts, is going to be joining the show later today as well. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Burley picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the impounding pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up at him. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson the carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the banking. They're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downing, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We had some... What's up, Coop?
That was not me, obviously.
That was me.
Oh, that was JL? Joe, what'd you have to say?
I was giving you your hype sounds.
Oh,
okay.
You know what? You just completely threw me off with hype sounds at 7:20 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. Would you just start doing stuff in the background whenever Simon talks?
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm like going through the news and I'm like,
fire up the engines.
This player is out for the season. What? Just in the back.
Yeah.
Whole season.
That's fantastic, Oop.
Let's see how you're hyped on Brooke for this one. NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reports that Myles Garrett suffered a shoulder sprain, strained biceps, and lacerations in a car accident, but there were no fractures and he has cleared concussion protocol. So his week 4 status is TBD, to be determined. May play in week 4, but good signs for a player who just flipped his car. That's walking away pretty safe with only a shoulder sprain, a strained bicep, and some lacerations. That doesn't sound casual.
Have you guys ever flipped a car or been in a car that has flipped?
I have not.
No, have you?
No, sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
No, I've been in a golf cart that has flipped over, but never in a car.
Me too.
But I feel like that's totally different, right?
Yeah, way different. For sure, way different.
Yeah, absolutely different. There was I used to work at a golf cart company. I won't put it on the name out there, but I worked at a golf cart company and they had a test track there where they did all the testing to drive the golf carts on. And as a co-op on my first day, they took me out on the test track, put me in a golf cart and like drove me around to show me everything. And we got to this hill. They had a 30 grade hill and they had a 40 grade hill. And they said nobody except for the test track staff are allowed on the 40 grade hill because they had a co-op who on day 1, they let him drive around the test track. They told him not to go up it, but he decided to start driving up, didn't get enough speed. The car starts rolling backwards. At the bottom of the hill, there's like one of those highway rails, but on the other side, it's just a straight drop off. He flips the golf cart over it, rolls it down the hill on the other side, breaks his femur, day 1 of work. That hill's now called co-op drop because this kid, day 1, just comes and breaks his leg on this hill.
Your femur, dude.
Your femur, that's got to be the worst bone to break, right? I mean, apart from like the really essential ones.
That's the one. That one's pretty essential.
That's thick, thick boy.
That's a rough one, dude.
That's painful. I feel like I want to know what that level of pain feels like, but I never want to break my femur. I want like a frame of reference. Know what I mean? Like I want a frame of reference for what that pain is. Like on a scale of 1 to broke my femur, like, oh, this is nothing. Like this is a 2.
Yeah. This is the femur is the thigh one, right? It's from the hip to the thigh or to the knee. I mean, right?
Yeah, the hip.
Yeah, it's that thick boy under your thigh.
The biggest bone in your body, dude. That's serious.
I mean, speak for yourself, Coop.
Coop and the Hawks.
Also, fantasy dogs and golf carts are heavy if battery powered. Indeed, they are. Except my favorite project there, I was testing. Most of those carts are lead acid batteries, but I got to test some lithium ion batteries in golf carts. And all that meant was during work hours, I would show up to a golf course, take out their heavy batteries, hook up a golf cart with a lithium ion battery that would go 3 times as fast and then play around a golf. And I got paid for it. It was just the absolute bomb of a job whenever that was going on over there. We had some more news as much as we want to keep talking about golf cars over there.
Fantasy dogs have been there, done that. No t-shirt.
No t-shirt. You didn't get a t-shirt for flipping your golf cart, fantasy dog? Must not have been in Panama City. They hand those out. They got someone just running up to you every time you flip your golf cart.
Every time.
This year, we've seen players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf. This comes from the NFLPA. And this is coming up because of the non-contact injury that we saw from Sterling Shepard. Specifically for this statistic, players have a 28% higher rate of non-contact lower extremity injuries when playing on artificial turf. Of these non-contact injuries, players have a 32% higher rate of non-contact knee injuries on turf and a staggering 69% higher rate of non-contact foot and ankle injuries on turf compared to grass. Do you guys think this is something the NFL needs to address? Like that's a big deal. Those are pretty significant numbers. It shows that it's probably not coincidence when you see like 69% foot and ankle injuries on turf.
Yeah, I'm no expert on turf, but I do know that some like certain fields are worse than others. Certain turfs are worse than others for ACL, and just like It's all about like how your cleat basically interfaces with the turf, right? Like that's the whole deal. So like there's a field near my house where they do a lot of like rec flag football leagues and stuff. And it's known as like the ACL tearing field because so many people go there and tear their ACLs because the way the turf is. So I think they should look into it probably if those numbers are that bad, but I don't know that much about turf. So
I mean, that's what the studies have shown. And I mean, Odell was out on Twitter yesterday saying the same exact thing. I think if anyone, if possible, the crazy thing is you say anyone, if possible, should have a grass field. And if the Arizona Cardinals with a fully domed stadium are rolling their field out, growing grass outside, and then rolling it into this air-conditioned dome, then that should potentially open grass up to everyone because it seems like they figured that out, and if they can do it, then anyone can likely afford to do it. And as has been pointed out, these guys are all pretty much billionaires. So how about we just try and, put the best playing surface down? I know that the Patriots have already said that they used to have grass. They moved to turf. They're moving back to grass, but not for player safety. It's because they want to host a World Cup game. So Bob Kraft at his finest, doing whatever is going to benefit him the most. But at least that
right move, wrong reason.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do?
What do they say about blind squirrels and nuts? Something, right?
Blind squirrels gobble up them nuts.
Yeah, Robert Kraft is a blind squirrel who found the nuts he wants to gobble, and it was the nuts that we wanted too, but it was also the nuts he wanted for a different reason.
And he already has a billion of them, and it's going to get him more of them. So.
He's got Robert Kraft with a billion nuts, but he couldn't help but wanting the World Cup's nuts in his stadium. That's the news for today, guys. Robert Kraft looking for nuts. Mitchell Trubisky came out and said the Steelers are not looking to make a QB change. Mike Tomlin supported that as well. Not looking to make a QB change for the Steelers. Coop, is that surprising to you? Were you expecting to start hearing rumors of Pickett coming out?
Not this early. I thought that the team was actually doing fine for what it was. He's been distributing the ball fairly well, I thought. So I don't know. It's interesting to hear those rumors so early, but I mean, I want to say, as a just general football fan, I always want to see the young guy play, even if it's crash and burn. It's different. We've seen Mitch Trubisky; he's fine. I'd rather see the young guy. I've seen Marcus Mariota; it looks okay. I still want to see Desmond Ridder, right? I want to see Malik Willis. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see Ryan Tannehill. So for me, I'm always going to side with bring in the young kid and bring on the chaos.
Yeah, they play the Jets this week, but after that, leading up to their bye, they've got a bit of a gauntlet that they're running through. The Steelers, week 5, the Bills, week 6, the Buccaneers, week 7, the Dolphins, week 8, the Eagles. That is a tough 4-game stretch. Bills, Buccaneers, Dolphins, Eagles heading into their bye week. Maybe they let Mitch Trubisky rack up a couple more losses in those games, and then coming out of the bye when they go up against the Saints, they throw in Kenny Pickett week 9 or week 10, whenever that is. Yeah, week 10.
Mitchell Trubisky hasn't looked that great. If you go back and watch those games, he's missing throws all the time. I think that this is exactly what we expected of Mitchell Trubisky. This is what we were saying throughout the offseason. I think he's just not good enough, and I think they will make the switch sooner rather than later.
You think sometime during that, this schedule is concerning. I see them potentially winning against the Jets this week, and then I don't see them winning again before their bye week. So those calls could get louder and louder and louder. After the bye week, it clears up a little bit more for them, a little bit easier schedule. But that's the timing that makes sense to me. Week 10, maybe we see that switch to Pickett. But Joe, you're right. We could see it before if they start. They beat the Jets, then they lose the next 2 games to the Bills, Buccaneers, lose to the Dolphins. Maybe week 8 against the Eagles is when we see Kenny Pickett sneak into the game.
Looks like Zach McClain in the chat, same idea as you. 5 to 6 games and then head into this next season. Maybe they should do that thing that now I forget what team did it, but basically they waited for their rookie quarterback and then brought him out for the very first game against the Lions, just to get him pumped up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Maybe they should just wait.
This is recent, right?
Yeah, I think it was either last year or the year before. But maybe they should do the same thing and just wait till the game TJ Watt comes back against a cupcake opponent and throw Kenny Pickett in there. And then they could be like, look, see, he's much better.
He's so good.
Yeah. The old confidence booster.
I see Pemba in the chat saying, need to secure that top 10 draft pick for next year. You think Tomlin will ruin the record in order to get the draft pick?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's the one guy that I feel like very protective of records, right?
Yeah. What is how many years does he have a winning record? Or 500 or better?
All of them.
All of them. He's never had one less.
Never finished under 500.
How do you do that strategy then? What are you guys doing if that's you?
Antonio, I'm winning half my games.
And dude, this is how I know that Tomlin cares about that kind of stuff. Is that one time against the Jaguars, all they had to do was take a knee, but instead they threw a screen to Antonio Brown, who caught it and ran. And we're talking in a game where if they threw a pick six here, they would have lost. So all they do was take a knee to win the game. They threw a screen to Antonio Brown. He ran for like 8 yards. And then right after that, they took a knee. And reporters asked him why he did that. And he said Antonio Brown had some record going of X number of catches and X number of yards and in this many games in a row. And he thinks that those kind of things are important and they're good for like morale boosters and legacy and stuff. So like, in my mind, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, Bill Belichick would never do that. But if Tomlin's willing to do that and put a game on the line for that kind of stuff, I can see him sitting there being like, we're getting those wins. We're getting those 9 wins.
That's wild. Would you do that, Coop?
Would I?
If you're Tomlin, which way are you going? Are you gonna go for the team or go for yourself?
Like whatever makes me look best. Yeah, I coach for the name on the back of the jersey. So that
my jersey specifically.
That's right. Yeah, my coaching jersey. Yeah. No, I would definitely.
Also, I'm not sure it's fair to say would you do it for the team or do it for yourself with Tomlin, right?
Well, I'm saying if the strategy is to either rebuild or get your 500 record, those two things are fighting each other, right? You can't have both.
I think the best way to do it is, because we've seen enough of these rebuilds, is to do it the way the Lions did it last year, where the front office takes away all the pieces, right? Lets Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay leave for comp picks, Jamal Agnew leave, the kicker leave, get all those comp picks, build this skeleton crew, but then tell the coach, go out and do the best you can. Don't do what the Dolphins did and try and pay the coach to lose and build a losing culture. That's the way to do it. So if they wanted to lose, then, they should have built the team that way. But I don't think they did.
I fully agree with that, Goob, and I think that's the right way to think about it. I don't think everybody in the NFL thinks like that, but I think that's the right way to think about it.
Yeah, like always try to win. You want your players trying to win. You want your coaches trying to win. And because if you think about the players, they're protecting their jobs. You know what? Especially if you're the quarterback. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if you're Jared
they're not
Goff,
going to tank.
If you're Jared Goff, you want that pick to be as low as possible because the quarterback's going to the top.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Can you imagine at like a normal job if like the CEO came into your office and just like took your computer? Know what I mean? Like you're talking about they should like take everything you need to succeed and then tell you to do your best. Like you're doing your best to like be an accountant and your boss comes in and like takes your computer in your pants and says, good luck.
Leaves you with like a little golf pencil.
Exactly. That's all you're left with.
And like a ripped off piece of paper. That's all you get to do your accounting.
And like a Barbie cash register that has basic addition and subtraction functions on it, so you can do a little bit of math.
Or if you're trying to start like a show and your co-host is just making random noises in the background. Those kind of things that make your job difficult, right? Imagine that. Imagine that kind of stuff.
Imagine it's 6 a.m. You've been having diarrhea for the last 5 hours. You're a little bit thrown off, and your co-host just starts screaming behind you while you're talking. Yeah, that would be really.
Or you start a brand new show on a brand new network, and within 3 minutes of the show starts, your co-host makes up a word that's not even a real word. Imagine something like that. Dale, could you imagine something like that? You would definitely get supplanted at your job by the new rookie coming in.
I can't even imagine that. That's so funny.
We got Meat Mansion in here saying happy Wednesday, my dudes. It is
Wednesday,
my dudes.
Mr. Mansion.
And Squirrel Bob in here asking, do the Steelers really need a full rebuild though?
No, they do not.
They do.
Nah. They do not.
They need offensive line. I think would help a lot, but beyond that, if Katie picks the real deal and they use their early picks on offensive line next year, could be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. No, they just have a few big holes to fill.
The retool, not the rebuild.
Yeah,
retool, not the rebuild. I feel like that's one of those phrases that we hear every year, right? Like retool, not rebuild.
That's literally the owner being like, That's the owner saying buy ticket. Continue to buy tickets, please. Thank you.
Yeah, we suck, but please.
And Pemba in here saying they will be bad enough to get a top offensive tackle and be good to go after that. Yeah, if this Steelers team gets a decent O-line, they're gonna be ready to rock. Jalen Coop, what's up, guys?
What's up?
We were gonna play a little bit of a game right there, but then I forgot what I was gonna say. Zach in here saying they will draft O-line and defense, probably bring in a couple free agents, but they have the weapons.
Yeah,
the weapons. So yeah, that O-line and that defense. Now, what's like the situation with all of their wide receivers contract wise? Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, obviously Pickens is a rookie under contract, but are any of those guys like becoming free agents or restricted free agents this year?
Deontay's unrestricted free agent after this year. So that's the big one. Chase Claypool is he's got one more year on his deal. Pickens is young, Farmy's young. So most of those guys are intact. Najee Harris is a first round pick, so they can use a 5th-year option on him. So he's around for a while. So it's really just Deontay Johnson, whether they're going to bring him back or not.
Najee Harris is going into his
Johnson
second
walk
year?
because
they have him for as long as they want. The crazy thing about Najee Harris is that because of the 5th-year option, like they could potentially pick up that 5th-year option and then franchise tag him, and then he wouldn't be a free agent for the first time until he's like 27 or 28, which in running back years is like 75 years old. So like, kind of a rough spot for Najee. But they did change the rules on those franchise tags. So like the 5th-year option essentially is as high as the franchise tag if he plays well. But
yeah, I'm do you think because of George Pickens that gives them more freedom to like let Deontay Johnson walk, or do you think they want multiple options like that in their offense? Like, do they want Pickens to be that 2 to Deontay Johnson's 1?
I feel like Mike Tomlin's strategy. It's me.
Oh, you go ahead, Joe.
I was saying, I think Mike Tomlin's strategy is just keep getting wide receivers in the draft who are valuable, who are good enough to replace these really expensive, high value wide receivers. So I think he could totally walk. I think Mike Tomlin would be okay letting Deontay Johnson walk and still be filling that in with wide receiver talent from the draft. Exactly.
That's been their strategy. Like this team has let more awesome wide receivers walk away than my team has ever drafted. Since I've been a fan. Like I'm a Patriots fan, right? At one point they let Mike Wallace and Emmanuel Sanders walk and kept Antonio Brown. And like Emmanuel Sanders would have been the best wide receiver the Patriots have ever drafted in the last like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like they're just letting dudes leave. Your boy Martavis Bryant, we would have loved to have him. You know what I mean? Like all these, like they just stumbling into these wide receivers, Plaxico Burress, all these guys that they end up just letting leave. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did let them leave. They'll get a 3rd-round comp pick back for him. So,
and Zach saying second contract receivers getting very expensive. Yeah, they are getting very expensive. And Goop, not only do they have all these like great wide receivers that are leaving, but it's gotten to the point where even if I didn't like the player pre-draft, if the Steelers draft a wide receiver early in the NFL draft, he's on my radar. I just trust them drafting that position now. Like if they take a guy, then I need to pay attention at least. I need to look at that guy because the Steelers know what they're doing on that front. They just keep hitting over and over and over again.
Right. Somebody needs to kidnap whoever's the scout for the wide receivers and bring them to New England for like a week. It should be like write down this chalkboard everything you know and just bring them back, right? Because I mean,
Bill Belichick's just like holding him at gunpoint.
Right. Like I would rather have whatever wide receiver they take in like the 4th round than whoever the Patriots take in the 1st round, because it ends up being like N'Keal Harry or Taylor Price or something, Or like,
is Bill Belichick just not good at evaluating wide receivers? What's going on?
That's what Meat Mansion down here is saying. Where would you guys rank Belichick in terms of drafting players?
In terms of drafting wide receivers, terrible. In terms of finding undrafted cornerbacks that go to other teams and we get back 3rd-round picks, the best there's ever been. It's like JC Jackson. He'll invent JC Jackson out of a ball of clay, but like you can't draft a wide receiver in the 1st round that could even play a 30% snap share. It makes no sense to me, dude. Malcolm Butler, Super Bowl champion, undrafted free agent. Every wide receiver, Chad Jackson, garbage. I don't know, man. Doesn't make sense.
Chad Jackson. That sounds like a make-up player name. That sounds like not a real name. That sounds like one where it's just like an auto-generated make-up player on like Madden or something.
And he was too. Like an 11-year-old kid made him. His speed was like 99, but like his hands were like 4. right? Like his awareness was 0. They were like, we don't need to put any attributes in anything but speed, right?
It's all about min-maxing. That's just what you got to do to create a successful player. Guys, coming up, we are going to be playing some fantasy detectives, then going over some player props and then playing hypothetically, as well as hitting some of our favorite DFS plays for this week. Our friend Alex Korf, peaked in high school, creator of the trade charts, is joining us a little bit later on today's show as well. You're listening to Better Sports Network, and this is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
I gotta tell this story, okay? So we're out in Canton, Ohio, and we decide to go eat late at night, like after midnight. We decide to go to the Waffle House. Somehow, Fensty's never been there, even though he lives near it. I'm in New York, New Jersey. There's no Waffle House close by. So if you go to the Waffle House, what are you going to eat more than likely? Pancakes, waffles, eggs, and all that, right? So, of course, our guy Rich, he gets breakfast. I get breakfast. Fensty doesn't. He's never been to a Waffle House. How do you not have waffles? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, there's a time for waffles.
Eat breakfast at midnight. Come on, man.
That's the thing. I didn't want breakfast, man. I got what was it, like a cheesesteak sandwich or something like that?
That's like someone who has never been to IHOP going there and ordering a burger. Who does that?
That I wouldn't do. That I would not.
That's the equivalent of what you did. Well, I don't even know what you had.
I got this steak sandwich, which was
steak sandwich at the Waffle House. Never been there, and that's what you get. You're an odd guy, man.
I'm not an odd guy.
Yes, you are. Can we get a vote? Can we get a vote in the chat, please? I mean, if you've never been to Waffle House and you get a steak wrap, something's wrong with you, right? Don't you have to get waffles and eggs and bacon and all that? It's the Waffle House.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It was my first time, okay? Ordering the hash browns was already complicated enough. Smothered and covered, and it's almost like it's crazy how much combinations you can have. And I know that everybody's killing me for it right now. And no, to our producers, I don't get pasta at a steakhouse or anything like that. No,
Alfredo, that's what he gets at the steakhouse.
Do you follow me on Instagram? I'm always on that grill. You know how much I love steak. Why would I go to a steakhouse and get pasta?
Because you go to Waffle House to get steak wraps. That's why.
I didn't know it was all waffles, bro. I thought it had like a little bit of everything. That's why. You know, I didn't realize they were famous for waffles. Hey, look.
You know, the name of the place is the Waffle House. What else would they be famous for?
You know what? That's fine. I guess it's a hot take getting a steak sandwich. As long as it was good, I housed that thing in 10 seconds.
Okay, you were never there, and that's the first time. You're not going to try a waffle? Do you admit it was a mistake?
I don't really like waffles.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. How you doing, Coop? Feeling good? Uh-oh, Coop's muted. Get the clown nose.
Oh, where is my clown nose, dude? See, if Simon were here, this never would have happened.
It's All right, Coop. I want to get into a nice little segment we like to call Hypothetically. You want to play some?
I'll play a little bit, yeah. So
how
do we do it with two people? I think I actually heard you and Simon when I was on vacation. I listened to a little bit of you guys doing Hypothetically, so I think I know how it works.
We did play Hypothetically while you're away. It is pretty much the same as if it was two people here. Okay. All right, so if you have not listened to us play Hypothetically before, this is a fun game we like to play. I'm going to pose a hypothetical question, philosophical question, crazy scenario. And Coop and Simon, whenever he gets back, are going to have to answer that prompt however they see fit. But the only rule is that they must overthink it. Coop, would you like your first prompt?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Here it is. You look like Shrek, but you play like Tom Brady. Or you look like Jimmy Garoppolo, but you play like Jimmy Garoppolo. Which would you rather have? You look like Shrek, but you play like Tom Brady. Or you look like Jimmy Garoppolo, but you also play like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay. Now, in this scenario, have I received the contracts that Jimmy Garoppolo has received during his career?
No.
Because that'd be an
You keep
easy
trying
one.
to throw the money thing into each of these
Well,
scenarios
I'm just
as
saying,
like a little loophole to get yourself out of the.
Well, because I'm just, the thing is, dude, a lot of these guys are pretty rich. They're a little more, they got a little more money than most people think. But I think the thing is, Jimmy G playing like Jimmy G probably doesn't get the money that Jimmy G has gotten so far because he actually didn't play a whole lot before he got paid, right?
Right.
Okay, so I look like Shrek, dude.
You look like Shrek.
Do I smell like Shrek, or do I
smell like Shrek too?
Come on.
Sorry, donkey.
So I look and smell like Shrek, but I play like Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, the GOAT.
GOAT, man.
Or you can be mediocre like Jimmy Garoppolo. Go down in history.
Let's see.
As Tom Brady, or be forgotten like Jimmy Garoppolo.
But the thing is,
you also look and smell like Shrek.
Yeah. Or I could look and smell like, or I could look and smell like Jimmy Garoppolo, which would be nice. Looks like we got let's get Hal in here. See what I see him floating around backstage. Should we bring him in? See what he thinks about this one?
Can we bring him up?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Simon usually does
it. Stage. I know Simon's usually the one doing all this stuff. Let's see. Hal is joining us to give us some perspective, maybe ask some clarification questions, participate in hypothetically. Hal, are you with us?
Hey, guys.
Good morning, my friend. All right,
so
Hal.
the question basically,
I want to get your opinion on this. So you look like Shrek, but you play like Tom Brady, or
do you want to be Terry Bradshaw?
Oh, brutal. I don't think Terry Bradshaw is Tom Brady level. What do you think? What do you think, Goop?
Right. So is it Terry Bradshaw versus Howie Long? Is that it?
That's actually kind of the situation.
I guess yeah.
Jeez, when you put it that way, dude. Yeah. I don't know how. What do you think?
You got to go Jimmy G. Even if you're the lowest paid backup quarterback in the NFL, you're living life and you're pretty as hell.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He's got like the Subway commercials and stuff. Like he's fine. Even after he was not that great, he was getting the Subway endorsements. So, not to mention like
hanging out with super hot porn actresses with. Yeah, it's Jimmy G all day. It's not even a question.
Thank you for clarifying that, Hal. Yeah, because you know what the thing is, I do like the glory. I think if you did look and smell like Shrek, but played like Tom Brady, you could get away with it. Like you pull chicks. Like I bet Creed Humphrey still pulls chicks. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Dude?
Oh.
He's kind of Shrek like. I mean,
would you have Tom Brady's personality though?
That is a good question.
Would I have to kiss my dad?
You would not have to kiss your dad.
Okay.
You would not have to kiss your dad. You would not have Tom Brady's personality. You'd have your own personality.
Okay.
Oh, that's solid though.
Yeah.
that's
I'd still go
solid.
Jimmy G.
Oh, that's great. I love that personality.
I'd go Jimmy. Yeah, I gotta go Jimmy G here. Too conceited to look like Shrek.
All right, thanks guys. I gotta go.
Double Jimmy G. Appreciate you, Hal.
I needed Hal to step in there, dude.
We needed some clarification.
Yeah,
from Hal.
if anybody else wants to come on, talk one of these
ball
out with us, really get to the bottom of some important stuff here, which is what we do on this show. Get to the bottom of these little Shrek talk, little Shrek chatter.
All right, we're moving on to our next prompt. Coop, this one is for you because there's no one else here.
Awesome.
Would you rather your football analysis is solely based off which uniforms you like the most, or you were friends with Peyton Manning in high school, but you're tortured that you never kept in touch?
Jeez, dude. So basically,
would you rather?
Basically, I'm you. Well, it's Stephon Diggs, or I'm Simon.
Yeah.
Just like picking whatever players went to Clemson, right? Which is awful.
What's the worst part about this is that I read this prompt. Keith came up with this prompt. I read this prompt and did not even think of myself. I was like, oh man, that sounds like it sucks. That would suck. And then I was like, wait. And I'm like, damn it.
Wait a second. Actually, yeah, I mean, kind of. Yeah. So I'm like a ex-friend of Peyton Manning who, could be hanging out with Peyton Manning, but isn't. Or my analysis is strictly based on the color uniforms, which that's basically how my girlfriend picks her March Madness bracket. And it usually does pretty well. There he is.
Man, I've been trying to get in for like 10 minutes here, just clicking the button. Someone kept kicking me out. It just kept saying, Hoop doesn't want you in here, is what the message I kept getting over and over again.
Well, I just kept hitting the kick button because we had Hal in, so we didn't really actually need you anymore.
Oh, perfect. Honestly, that's fair. Hal's been making a pretty good case to take over as host of this show so far.
Yes, he has. All right, Simon, we were playing hypothetically currently, and here's the prompt that I have posed. Your football analysis, would you rather your football analysis is solely based off which uniforms you like the most, or you were friends with Peyton Manning in high school, but you're tortured that you never kept in touch?
Those are pretty good. Those are both pretty good. I feel like right now I've had some bad fantasy takes in the past couple weeks. You know what I mean? Like don't get me wrong. I've had my hot stretches. Overall, I think I'm above average when it comes to fantasy football, but past couple weeks have been rough. So it leads me to go the route that gives me an excuse, right? Like it leads me to go the route that would be fun. Like how much fun would it be to get on a show? Everyone's talking like, well, this team ranks 7th worst in the league in defensive efficiency. And this team works the worst in DVOA on the average opponent. And I can just be like, yeah, well, man, these black jerseys are really slimming, right? Like
Chargers, powder blues. You'd have a lot of I feel like if you think about it, like I like the Chargers. I like the Chargers jerseys. I've always liked the Saints uniforms. They have, like the black and gold.
Me too.
So I would have some decent players. Steelers is classic.
I love when teams have like the all black unis. I feel like not enough teams do that, but the Saints are like they're just naturally one of their colors, so it looks very good.
I would have a lot of Raiders on my team.
The black unis are just awesome. So I think you probably should have a lot of guys in the black uni teams, which are good teams. You have Lamar Jackson some days, right? They do the all black, right?
They
not too bad.
Can I tell you my least favorite jerseys in the NFL? Like I'm going to take out the Seahawks neon greens. Like those are just offensive. Like I'm not going to consider those. I'm going to take out the Steelers bumblebee alternates. Like those are just too odd. They're not the standard ones, but like of the normal uniforms, the Falcons gradient, like black to red numbers where it's got like that gradient. The Rams have a gradient one as well. It looks like an early 2000s PowerPoint background effect.
Yeah.
Like they just clicked gradient, clicked two different colors on the opposite. We're like, and we're done. Like they designed their jerseys in PowerPoint and it looks like garbage, like truly like garbage.
Yeah. I like Jordan Loop, who has he's a legendary, on top of being an IDP guy, legendary avatar maker. He has a good sense of style. And I agree that the Cardinals jerseys, they just don't do it for me. Even the black ones. Like there's nothing special about them. Same with the Texans. I always thought that when I see the Texans, I'm just like, it's just so so bland, so mediocre.
We're getting into just uniform talk here, but it just feels like it's not that hard to make like why don't they just hire like professionals to make these uniforms? Like the Rams had the opportunity to completely redo their uniforms. They just fumbled the bag. Yeah. Anyway, getting back into the hypothetically prompt.
I'm going with the other one after all that talk. Peyton Manning, but I have to regret not keeping up that friendship. You know what? Peyton Manning, I said earlier in the show, he can lick my feet. Like the only reason I would be upset about it is because of the massive success that he is now. But I don't know. I don't think me and Peyton Manning were particularly close buddies in high school. Like I just don't get the vibe that we would have been running in that same social circle, me and Mr. Peyton Manning. I think we would have been in I don't think we would have been in the same group.
Big Forehead Club.
Yeah, I wouldn't have made it into the Big Forehead Club in high school. My hairline hadn't receded enough yet. Now, though, he might be willing to accept me into that club. It's fine. I can just tell everyone for the rest of my life, like, yeah, me and Peyton Manning were close. I just kind of got bored of talking to him. Stopped texting him after a little bit.
Yeah,
I just kept double texting.
For me, I can't go with the Peyton Manning side for a couple of reasons. One, I played quarterback, and I don't think I would have beat out Peyton Manning. So I would have had to play. I would have had to play something totally different, right? And then two would be that I think that the rest of what I do now, like people would just be like, "You played with Peyton Manning. What was that like?" And I would just be like, "Oh, well, I just like brought water out to him."
All right, so you're taking the Peyton Manning side. Simon, you're taking the uniform side?
No, I'm taking the Peyton Manning side.
You're both taking the Peyton Manning side.
Yeah.
I'm taking the other side. I'm taking the uniform side.
Okay, I just switched you guys in my head then.
Can't live in the shadow. I would definitely, and plus, dude, based on the uniforms that I just said I like, dude, my teams would be fire. My takes would actually probably be better. They'd be a lot better than what I said already. You know, because I'm like picking like Jaguars players and stuff now. I would have a bunch of Chargers and Raiders. It'd be nice.
Hey, those Jaguars uniforms though, that like gray blue. We've talked about it before. I'm a sucker for a gray blue.
A gray blue, but they have do they still have the gradient two-tone helmets? No, they don't. They got rid of
I think they got rid of those. I think they got rid of those
because those were bad.
The matte ones for the Jacksonville you're talking about?
No, the gradient ones for Jacksonville.
Yeah, the two-tone ones.
Yeah. Fantasy Dog in the chat has been keeping score, and I can't read the score. Like I have no idea who's in the lead, but I think it's Simon. I think Simon, you're in the lead.
I was stalling pretty hard when Simon was gone. I was really thinking Fantasy Dog could see the smoke coming out of my ears on that one. I think Simon stepped in and really took over there. So I appreciate
it.
Did.
I see Fantasy Dog saying Simon is a champion overthinker. It usually works to my detriment, Fantasy Dog. It usually absolutely works to my detriment.
All right, you guys want to get on to the next prompt?
Let's do it.
All right. The next hypothetically prompt is, would you rather you can't catch anything for the rest of your life, or you catch everything no matter what is thrown at you?
Wow, dude. Wow. So there goes every yard game ever. You're just out. Never.
You're playing cornhole and you just all of a sudden you reach down and grab the bag before it goes in the hole.
Every time.
Yeah, you get like the thing is you'd be amazing at some games, but so bad at others. Cornhole, you're out. But like if you played like
you were cornerback,
Polish horseshoes, catch the frisbee every time.
Hey, Jail, so I have some clarification questions here. JL, what was the wording you used for the second line? I need you to reread the second option for me.
I can do that. You can. Would you rather you can't catch anything for the rest of your life, or you catch everything no matter what is thrown at you?
Thrown at you. Thrown at you. So if we're playing cornhole and the goal is not to hit me, the goal is hit the board and it's not going to hit me. You know what I mean? Like thrown at you, I'm saying can be intentional or unintentional. If
it has nothing to do with intent. It has to do with proximity, spatial proximity.
So if Mitch Trubisky's my quarterback, this doesn't really matter because even though he's intending to
he'll never hit you.
He'll never hit me.
It'll
right?
be 10 feet above your head.
Is there like a radius, or does it have to physically be about to hit me? But like if it's thrown at me and it's in a catchable radius, I catch it.
I think that's the case. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, you can't defy logic to start catching.
No.
Okay.
So
people just say, it's not like people can just
be
like, Simon, and throw a ball the other way, and then you just have go gadget on.
Yeah.
Wait,
no.
cool. If that was part
of
your
same physical ability.
So for cornhole, the strategy is just stand pretty far back when you're not throwing. Like, know what I mean? Just far enough back that it's not even within your catchable radius, and then you're good to go on that front.
I like how the most important thing is whether we be able to play cornhole. Like that's the most important part.
I know,
of
the
this,
cornhole
is whether or not it would ruin our ability to play cornhole. Yeah.
I will say, Simon, it's not just your catchable radius where you're standing; it's what you're able to get. So if it is like 5 feet to the left, you're diving for it.
That's what I'm saying. You got to go real far back.
So you got to stand way back for this not to get. Otherwise, you're running up and you're catching every single cornhole back.
I don't know about you, but I've made my decision. And I'll
no
tell
more
you,
questions?
I don't have any more questions soon. I'll tell you why. Because I just spent a weekend with my buddies for my birthday / bachelor party, even though it wasn't my birthday. But they said it was my birthday the entire time because of you guys.
Happy birthday
to everyone. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But I don't know if you know my buddies, but I talked a little bit about how they're from Boston, so they're not super nice. And when I wore my raincoat, they were calling me, Christopher Robin and Perfect Storm and all that. And I know for a fact, the moment my buddies found out about this catching thing, that they would be throwing me whatever and be like, "Hey, Coop, catch," and throw me like,
their own poop.
A dog turd or like a frog or something. Like whatever gross thing. Like,
get this frog.
Say you take a cup of Jello and just be like, catch. You know what I mean? Like, and all day long I'd just be catching gross stuff. I wouldn't even be able to hang out with my friends anymore. So I unfortunately I would have to go with the one where I can never catch anything In which case,
now
picking up a lot of stuff off the ground.
I will say that they will. It's not going to stop them from throwing stuff at you, because even though you can't catch, they still might just throw things at you because they know you can't catch.
Yeah, but then I'm hands off. I'm hands off on everything.
But it might hit you. You can't catch it, so
yeah,
you might get hit with it.
But then your friends are just assholes who throw things.
I can still block it, right? I can still block it at least. I don't have to have it in my hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's something solid, for sure.
So, Jail, I got a question that's going to make this easy. Like, I'm easily on one side, but this will change the story.
Okay.
Does this include like viruses? Like, catch everything thrown at me? If someone's sick within a certain radius of me, am I always catching that sickness? And does the other one prevent me from catching said sickness?
Ask me one more time.
Like, so it says you never catch anything thrown at you, or you catch everything thrown at you.
Yeah.
Does this include like viruses or sicknesses? Like, if someone sneezes near me, am I guaranteed to never catch it with the first one, but guaranteed to catch it with the second one?
No, because catch is something different in that case.
Okay.
So it's a different verb. Doesn't apply here.
Then I'm catching everything. I'm catching literally everything.
Be protected against biological warfare. I would have made my answer just a bit stronger.
That's what I was saying. Like that could have pulled me over to that side. Like if I could guarantee that I could just go out and people could like sneeze in my mouth and I wouldn't catch anything, my life would be so much better. I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore.
Savage said worst soccer player ever. Not be able to play soccer. Maria said can't play volleyball. Yeah, this rules out a bunch of different sports, a bunch of different activities.
You can play goalie. You just got to be real careful about where you are in that box. Like you gotta make sure you're in the right spot. Tennis, they just serve the ball to you and you just start catching it every single time. I'm trying to think what the worst one would be. I think cornhole still is sitting at the top. Is like that would really be offensive to just reach over and grab a cornhole bag.
Ruin it every time.
Every time. I'm picking the catch everything, JL. It's gonna change some sports that I can't play, but it'll probably help with other sports. Maria said dodgeball. Yeah, dodgeball and football I'm going to be a menace at. But after that, it's going to be rough. I'll be a menace in other ways for the other sports.
All right. Well done, guys. Do you want to do one more?
I think we got time for one more. We can fit one more in there.
All right. Your final prompt is, would you rather have your phone go off anytime at every funeral? Go off anytime at every funeral, or anytime you watch football, you go off into a diatribe about how you could have made it in the NFL?
So not much changing about for me in either circumstance.
What was the first option again, JL?
The first option was, would you rather have your phone go off anytime that you at every funeral, or anytime you watch football, you go off into a diatribe about how you could have made it in the NFL?
So, man,
Chime would be out there like, I can catch everything. I could have made it in this league.
Yeah, combining it with the last one. No, I'm sitting here thinking like I definitely watch football more than I go to funerals, right? Like I definitely watch football more than I go to funerals. And I'm thinking about this, like the people around you at each. If your phone goes off at a funeral, that's embarrassing, right? But most of the people are probably just gonna be like, oh my God, so rude. Like, I can't believe he didn't put his phone on silent. Like, that's gonna be the reactions. If you go into a diatribe about how you could have made it in the NFL every single time, you are a loser that person doesn't want to hang out with anymore. Know what I mean? Like you become that guy. Like you're like the guy who won't shut up about his time in high school. The guy who like you're straight up Uncle Rico and no one wants to hang out.
Let me ask though, do I like, so say I'm watching a game, like if I'm just one and done, or is like every person that I talk to at the game, I gotta mention it. Like say I go to my buddy's house and there's 5 people there. You know, there's like 2 in the kitchen and 3 in the living room, and I meet my buddy at the door. If I one time I say that I could have made it, or is throughout the game I'm just kind of tossing it around. Like I can't stop.
Yeah, no, you were delivering that diatribe to a bunch of people.
Okay.
Every single time, at least once up. Like you don't have to circle back and deliver it again to the same person, but if someone hasn't heard it,
I was just thinking about I went to the game this weekend. It would just be like, there were just random moments where it's like, I was wearing a Ben Coates jersey and, people were like, oh, go Pats. And I would be like, I could have made it in the league, right?
Yeah, you'd have to do it. Yeah.
That would be sick.
Okay, so this question I probably should have asked at the beginning. I've been using context clues to determine what diatribe means. But I do not, in fact, know what a diatribe is.
I can help out with that. A diatribe is like when someone goes off into like a tangent. Like they go off, they just go and like give a speech on something.
But
like
it's a little
topic.
It's more than just like mentioning it. Like you're like soapboxing it. Like,
yeah, it's like a tangent.
Diatribe is like you're like making sure they know.
It's like, according to Google, I'm seeing now a forceful and bitter verbal attack against someone or something is what.
Wow, that was way more aggressive than I thought.
No. That's what I mean. Like I'm thinking about diatribe. It's like you're like putting your hand on people's chest. You're like you don't understand.
Hey.
You don't understand.
I could have made it in the NFL.
I could have been something.
I could have been something.
I'm imagining like Kirk Cousins comes up on the TV and jail's like, oh, if that clown can make it, then I could have made it in the league.
Like yogurt my ass.
Now, dude, now that we've clarified that, I'm definitely going with the diatribe one. That is hilarious.
Go with the diatribe one.
It fits my personality, I think. Just to be like every time, like at the Cardinals game this week that I was at versus the Rams, just to be like, Cooper Kupp makes a sick catch. I would have been like, I would have scored there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coop.
No, you go ahead.
No, I want to hear what you had to say right there.
No, that was it. That was the end of it. I would have scored. I would let you talk, but I just want you to know that like I could have been the MVP.
I could have been the MVP.
That could have been me. That would have been me.
So Coop's taking diatribe. Simon, which side are you taking?
I keep forgetting the other side, but it's the one I'm going to take. And
have your phone go off anytime at every single funeral.
Here's what I'm doing. I'm changing
Never go to funeral?
I'm changing my ringtone. I'll mix it up every once in a while. It's either going to be Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, or This is going to be the best day of my life. And I'm going to provide a little bit of like comic relief at the funeral. Okay. Like everyone's going to be sitting there. It's going to be like,
I kissed a girl and I liked it.
No. No, we're going to be sitting there. And then all of a sudden you're going to hear like, I'm going to be crying. I'm a crier. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not. I'm an emotional dude. And I'm going to be crying at this funeral most likely. And then all of a sudden, my phone from the crying dude's pocket is going to start singing, "This is going to be the best day of my life." And everyone's going to look at me and I'm going to be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And it's going to be like this moment of like, we're all in this sadness together. And this kind of brings us together for this like happy moment. I'm going to twist it and I'm picking the funerals.
Which the first time that happens, maybe funny. But like every family funeral that you go to, like every time, and you're like, didn't that happen the last time? Like the third or fourth time, you're gonna have uncles fist fighting you, dude, for sure.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, this isn't funny anymore.
I need to start coming up with like a collection of songs to mix up the vibe. Know what I mean? Because it can't. Yeah. If it's the same one twice in a row, then it's not funny.
Had a bad day.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, you can go two different rounds. You can go two different rounds with that one. I'm on the highway to hell.
Scott Fish had a question for us. Question for the show: if Bucs Chiefs got moved to your city for Sunday Night Football, would you go?
And he said he followed up, assume cheap or free tickets. Like 1,000%, I would go. I mean, like you can't go to games here. It's literally cheaper to fly to other cities and go to games there than it is to get tickets to the Patriots, even when they're not good. It's just
really
ticket prices are insane here. They really are.
Yeah, JL, if you'd be hosting our Sunday night show if it ended up in San Antonio, I would be out of there. I would be at that Sunday night football game so fast.
I would be at that Sunday night football game.
Where's the closest stadium to you, son?
Houston. Houston is we have a stadium that can fit like an NFL game here, the Alamo Dome. They actually are bringing an XFL team or like one of the sub leagues to San Antonio. So like we can host big games. But the closest real NFL stadium's in Houston, about 2.5 hours away.
What about you, JL? How far are you from the M&T Bank Stadium?
I'm about 15 minutes through the city. You're driving, not too bad.
There you go. That's not too bad. So you can go to the Horseshoe anytime you want then.
Yeah, both the Horseshoe and Stadium are on the other side of the harbor than I am. So you just kind of got to go up and then down to go there. So it's a little pain. There is a tunnel that goes the bottom way. That's a little easier for me, but yeah, they're not too far.
That's cool. Nice.
Coming up, we're going to be talking some player props for you guys today, and then playing a little bit of fantasy detectives, as well as a new game we're calling the Goodell test. And our friend Alex, aka Peaked in High School, is joining the show to talk about his almighty trade charts. They are the trade Bible. They're my favorite trade resource. if you're enjoying what we're doing over here, make sure you head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button. We've got loads of nonsense and fantasy football content coming out through there that you're not going to want to miss out on. This right here is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
We got to get a team in Honolulu. Like, what about that, Ray? You think Oakland? Like, nobody's talking about Honolulu for the Oakland A's to move to. How badass would that be to have a Major League Baseball team? Instead, they want to go to like where it's 120 degrees in the desert of Vegas.
Right.
Ray, they should pick up and go to Honolulu. That would be epic right there for the A's.
They could go to Honolulu, and instead of playing 12 games against a team throughout the course of the year, you just play a 12-game set. Just get it done.
What's the flight from the Bay Area? 4 hours?
It's depending which direction you're going, it's 5.5.
Okay, that's not terrible. You'd have to manage the schedule a bit.
Right.
But it's doable. Like, you play your West Coast games and then maybe you give an extra day. Like you play in San Francisco through Sunday. Mm-hmm. And then you have your Monday off. Everybody gets their Monday off and then they play, out in Hawaii for 4 games. And they come back for the weekend.
It's very similar time-wise for us in California, in the Bay Area, to go to Hawaii as it is to go to New York. It's very similar. So, yeah, like you're saying, Giants do that to go to the Mets. The A's do that to go to the Yankees. They do it, so it would be very similar.
They would be they've already got the baseball background. I mean, they're dominant. The island loves their baseball. And Ray, you could even rebrand the team from the Oakland A's to the Oakland Lays. You can do the Lays, Ray. Look at that.
Good. That's actually, there's no way that would ever happen, but that's pretty good, Kyle. On the fly.
I'm giving away like free marketing right here.
Good work.
Right on the show.
The plan is for them to stay here, but the fans hate them. I don't know if the city likes them. They can't. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't know. The plan
There's a lot of land in Hawaii. Just think about the views, Ray, of the Pacific. It would put your crap ballpark in San Francisco to shame. Like, everybody thinks that's a good view.
Right.
They'd have like waterfalls and real palm trees and the Pacific Ocean.
People trolling fire in the 7th inning
They would
stretch.
make the Giants Park look like, the vet in Philly. It would look that awful if they moved to Hawaii.
And then you go to your flip-flops or shorts. They serve Mai Tais. They give lays away. The first 5,000 fans, whatever.
Well, everybody in the chat room loves it. Every time I get a compliment, I don't bring it up on the show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't want to be that guy.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And I was just curious, so I looked it up during the break. San Antonio is getting an XFL team, which is playing in the Alamo Dome, which can seat 66,000. So it's a decent-sized arena. They're getting that XFL team, and Hines Ward is going to be the head coach of that XFL team. That's pretty sick, isn't it?
That's dope, dude. So let me ask you then, like, what price range? If season tickets were, let's say, $1,000, would you get them?
Right now, absolutely not. No, I wish I could, but let's say season tickets were $600, like in that range. I do think I'd be willing to spend that. Know what I mean? Like
for
that's
XFL?
not XFL. That would be fun to like be able to get in ground floor. The Alamo Dome is 2 minutes. Like I'm right down the street from the Alamo Dome. Like that would be pretty cool. It'd be convenient. It'd be fun to be able to go out to those games.
I feel like you don't need season tickets. I feel like you're going to be able to buy just regular tickets and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, but I want that swag bag.
Yeah,
swag
exactly,
bag.
Dummy.
Like you're going to go to all the games.
Then you can't turn to everyone and be like, I'm a season ticket holder.
I'm a season ticket holder.
I'm a season ticket holder of the unnamed San Antonio XFL team. No big deal.
I could have played in the league.
They actually asked me to QB the team, but I told them I was too busy. So just settle for season tickets instead. They'll have to take my support from the stands.
I was just mentally recapping like all the choices I made throughout hypothetically, and I would be a dude that looks like Jimmy Garoppolo but is terrible. And I also can't catch season ticket holder, and I'm just sitting there like, I could have been in the league, right?
Right.
if you just the worst kind of person, dude.
As you fumble.
I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful with where my season tickets are, because if they're like first or second row end zone, there's probably some balls thrown in the end zone that are catchable for me. You know what I mean? Gotcha. Like I'm sitting front row. All of a sudden, who's a player that might be in the XFL wide receiver wise? Like we see one of these wide receivers go try to catch it in the end zone. They're laying out, and then all of a sudden from the stands comes this like 5'10" dad bod white dude, like jumping out of the stands in his jersey that's 4 sizes too big, trying to catch the ball in the end zone.
I dance Winnie the Pooh style.
Bro, you couldn't go to baseball games either. You could end up being like Steve Bartman, dude.
Yeah,
right?
That's dangerous.
Is that the dude from the Cubs game?
Oh yeah,
I forgot. I didn't know his name.
You gotta know.
I did not know his name either, but I did know that there was a guy.
Well, now you do know his name.
Now I can remember that. That's who we hate in Chicago.
His name
was Robert Paulson.
He was Robert Paulson. It was Bill Buckner. Bill Buckner was the name.
Bill Buckner. We had some questions in the chat that I wanted to make sure we were hitting before we told you guys some DFS plays for this week. The first question was PPR. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is out, would you start Scary Terry, Bateman, or Elijah Moore? This comes from Eric. JL, which of those players would you be starting? Would you start Scary Terry, Bateman, or Elijah Moore?
For me, it would be who is Washington playing this week again?
Washington is playing against the Dallas Cowboys.
Ooh, okay. Because this is going to come down to matchup. It's between Bateman and Terry McLaurin for me. I'm going to go with who's Baltimore playing?
The Bills.
The Bills. It's the game of the week.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go Terry McLaurin. This one.
So I like the Bill. I like Bateman here. And here's why. I know he's going to face a good amount of Trey White, but he also doesn't shadow for the most part. So it's not like he's going to face him the whole time. And the reason I'm going with Bateman is that we actually have yet to see in 3 games the Ravens play an above average number of snaps. So like whereas the Jets are playing a ridiculous number of snaps, they're on pace to throw 884 passes, which would absolutely obliterate the pass attempt record by 150. The Ravens are on the other side. Last year, they averaged 69 snaps a game, which is led the league. This year, they've yet to play over 60 in a game. Just very strange game scripts where they're, being kind of hyper efficient. There's been kick returns. There's been long touchdowns. So they've yet to play over 60. Some of these games have only been like 55, 56. I think this is finally the game where we see the Ravens have to play like 70 snaps, 80 snaps. I mean, to average 69, you need to have some games that are 70, 80, 90. Like the Bills last week played 91 snaps, right? The Ravens played 59. So this week we could see the Ravens play a game where they're actually just, playing a full number of snaps in a high over under 52-point game. I don't think Rashad Bateman can get shut out in a game like that. So I'm going for Bateman here. I think he's got the highest upside.
So close. I don't blame you at all.
Man, all I could think of there was like you were like, you can't average 69 unless you go above it sometimes. And I was like, yeah, well, watch me. You should have seen me in freshman year chemistry. I made a 69 on every exam in that entire semester. But then we see Tim 32s, 100s. We ended with the same grade. Tim's like the Ravens this season. We're going to see some of those 100s, but not some of those 32s. I'm with you. I think I'm going Bateman in this one as well. The Ravens are going to have to try to keep up with this Bills team, and I think they can do it against this defense. And the Bills secondary is still a little bit beat up, if I'm not mistaken. It's not the same secondary we saw in week 1, week 2. We had another question in here. Said, who should I start my flex this week? Basically, my whole bench I would be fine with. And what a great flex problem they have. CeeDee Lamb, Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison, Garrett Wilson, Kareem Hunt, or Chris Godwin in the flex. Coop, which of those players would you be putting in the flex spot?
So I wouldn't start. The question is, do I start CeeDee Lamb or Dalvin Cook?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to start any of the. You can't start any of those other guys over CeeDee Lamb, especially Godwin coming off the injury. CeeDee Lamb looked awesome, man. Besides the really bad drop, he looked awesome for the most part. So I think I would start Lamb. Dalvin is going to be wearing like a brace on his shoulder. And those games scare me because when they say he's going to try to play with a brace, sometimes you go out and take 2 hits and say, that's enough. So I think I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb there and just play it safe. I don't know. You guys going big with Dalvin Cook at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on the other side of the pond, or are you going with CeeDee Lamb?
No, and I guarantee you, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to accidentally start Dalvin Cook in about 2 leagues because I forget that he kicks off at 9:30 a.m. in London. That's without a doubt going to happen this week because I know he's in some of my lineups. I'll forget, and I'll wake up and I'll be like, God, no, the game already started.
Ooh, that means your Sunday show is going to have a little live football action.
A little live football action.
Both of ours, probably.
Me and Johnny and Pemba.
Live.
And then the real question, no, you said, are you going big with Dalvin Cook? I'm going big with CeeDee Lamb. Know what I mean? I don't think that's not going big, plugging CeeDee Lamb into your lineup. Cooper Rush is looking good enough to be able to support him, and this is a decent enough matchup for the Cowboys this weekend. So I'm plugging CeeDee Lamb in. Joe, what about you?
It's just picking one, right?
Yep.
I would go Dalvin Cook if he plays. But man, CeeDee Lamb, he is very enticing this week. That Washington matchup is good. It's good for him, and I agree with Coop. He looked fantastic this week. That one-handed catch.
Sexy.
Completely unnecessary.
But amazing.
But completely necessary at the same time. We had another question in here from Eric. Wants to know battle of the James Robinson or James Conner this week. Coop, are you throwing Robinson or Conner in your lineups?
I'm throwing James Robinson in. He's looked awesome.
That hurts a little bit, doesn't it? Like I just feel like as someone who was just bought into Travis Etienne this year, I'm happy for James Robinson.
Now, but let's answer this question as if you did not. Both you guys, let's play hypothetically. Hypothetically, had you not gone to Clemson, who would you pick?
Oh, I'm going to pick James Robinson even if I had gone to Clemson. Like the answer is James Robinson here regardless. It's just I don't let my priors or my biases or my feelings affect this decision. It just makes me a little bit sad, right? It makes me a little bit sad that this is how this is playing out. But the reality of it is you're right, Coop. James Robinson has looked great. He's the lead running back in that team, and I don't think it's changing this week. I'm starting Robinson.
Yeah, as much as I love ETN, I'm not going to put my fantasy team in a worse position just because he went to Clemson. That's that's not going to factor into the analysis here. James Robinson, I don't think you can sit him at this point. Just the usage he's getting, you just got to ride that out until Doug Peterson starts to switch off. I don't think ETN's lost his value completely. I think he's going to get worked into the receiving game a lot more. I think his usage will go up a lot more throughout the season. But right now, we got to call a spade, and he's limited by James Robinson because James Robinson's playing well. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah. Also, we had Scott Fishing here following up on some of the Dalvin Cook stuff we were talking about. He said his last two games after hurting his shoulder. Yeah, Scott Fish and wearing a brace. First came back 29 for 140 and 1 and 27 for 205 and 2. He said many remember the Pitt game last year coming off injury wearing the brace, and people even benched him and he went for 200 plus. I'm not sure I would worry about Cook's brace, more about the matchup and how he's getting almost zero work inside the 5. So it sounds like the Fish is still agreeing maybe CeeDee Lamb's the move over Dalvin Cook, but for a different set of reasons. He's not worried about that knee brace or about the injury.
Yeah, tell us in the chat, Scott, if you'd rather start Dalvin Cook or CeeDee Lamb this week.
Absolutely, Scott. Please tell us. Please,
tell us. Scott.
We had another question from Adam in here. He said, "Start Alexander Mattison or Michael Carter this week." JL, is it going to be Alexander Mattison or Michael Carter?
Well, we were just talking about Dalvin Cook, that we don't know whether he's going to play or not. So this is certainly going to be dependent on that. But I think I would start. And right now, as we know it now, Dalvin Cook is expected to play. And so I would go Michael Carter, given that news. If anything changes with that and Alexander Mattison, it's like indicated to us that Alexander Mattison is going to get the bulk of the carries here, then I would go him. I would go him over Michael Carter. But as it stands now, I'm going Michael Carter.
I'm going Michael Carter as well for that same reason, JL. Dalvin Cook's expected to play. I'm not playing Alexander Mattison if Dalvin Cook's expected to play.
It's almost like when the entirely new regime came over, there was like one sticky note on the desk that said, "Don't play Alexander Mattison if Dalvin Cook is healthy, right? Just
whatever you do.
You guys are taking over, but we do have one rule here, which just make sure you know. He's like, like the Gremlins, like you can't put water on. Like he won't do well if Dalvin Cook is playing at all. So just don't give him any carries at all. And the new regime was like,
shit.
All
right,
rules are the rules.
It's like Memento. He wakes up every morning and looks at his arm, and it says like Alexander Madison is not as good as
I don't know why.
It's like down his arm.
Right. But yeah, but if Dalvin Cook gets hurt, then you can give him every single carry because he'll be a star.
Absolutely. We got some questions in here. Working Grind said Rashad Penny was dropped in my 12-team league. So we've got a couple of these Rashad Penny dropped questions over the past couple of days. He says, I have Jamal Williams, Jonathan Taylor, A.J. Dillon, and some backup guys. Would you pick up Penny given the running back core that he has? Would Penny be a pickup for you?
Probably not. I don't know that adds a ton to your team. Name the running backs again one more time.
JT, Jamal Williams, AJ Dillon, and some backup guys.
Maybe it's worth stashing then.
He is playing like every snap. He's playing a good snap share. 49 to 71. I mean, for a running back, it's quite a bit. He got like all the carries, like there's only so many of those guys out there, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. I think my hesitation comes from just the faith in the offense and that they're not going to move over to Kenneth Walker. I think that they're probably done with Rashad Penny.
I mean, but we've already seen Kenneth Walker banged up a little bit this season, and there's a chance that could happen again. And he's a rookie, so I think Rashad Penny's a guy that's worth having on your bench. I'm not expecting too much from him, but if something does happen to Kenneth Walker goes down, Rashad Penny's in line to be the lead back for that team solely. Not that he's not already the lead back. And we've seen the upside of what that can mean, right? Like we saw some of that at the end of last season. We've seen a little bit of it this year. So I think he's worth stashing. Brendan in the chat wants to know, I just picked up Romeo Doubs. Should I flex him or Jacoby Meyer this week? Coop, are you plugging in Jacoby Myers or are you plugging in Mr. Romeo?
Yeah, I mean, dude. So it's like high upside rookie play versus like banged up Jacoby Meyer playing with Brian Hoyer. Might as well just go with the upside with Romeo Doubs. Like if Jacoby Meyer was fully healthy with Mac Jones, then I would say, yeah, go for it. But like we don't know what this Hoyer offense is going to look like. We don't know what Jacoby's snap share is going to look like. The snaps for that team for the wide receivers are already kind of all over the place. They use a bunch of 2 tight ends. They got Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar and everybody's playing a little bit. So
you don't believe in Axel being able to get the job done here?
Axel
Hoyer.
Edward Brian Hoyer. Put some respect on the name.
Yeah, the upside is that he plays fine, right? But he's not Aaron Rodgers. And Jacoby Myers, as much as I like him as a Patriots fan, he's not. He doesn't have the upside of Romeo Doubs.
Would you rather your name be Axel, but you play football? Like you're in the NFL, you're an NFL quarterback. Your name's Axel, but you have the career of Brian Hoyer. Or your name is Schmedrick, but you have the career of Peyton Manning.
Can I go by dope nicknames like
nope.
The Smedge Clipper?
Smedge. The Smedge Fund.
The Smedge Fund.
Over the Smedge. My favorite movie.
Smedge Fund must be the shmoney. So I can't have any of that. I can't have any of that.
Smedge your bets.
In that case, you gotta go by. If I'm
I'm smedging.
Yeah, in that case, I gotta go by Axel. If I can't have any of those nicknames or songs.
Smedge me.
Smedge Lord.
Smedge
Lord.
You're actually allowed to have that nickname. Nicknames that are worse than your actual name, you're allowed to have.
Yes. I'm taking Smedrick. Not a doubt in my mind, because it doesn't matter if I have a sweet name like Axel. No one knows about me.
Colt McCoy is kind of coasting on his sweet name.
It's Colt McCoy. Yeah, that's about his football name. What if you had to name your child right now? Like you're guaranteed that they're an NFL quarterback. Okay, like your next child will be an NFL quarterback, and your name that you give them, like they're gonna carry through that career. What name are you giving them to like kind of really just amplify their career as an NFL quarterback?
Hog Garofalo.
Hog.
Smedrick. Hog. You say Hog Garofalo.
Hog Garofalo.
Oh yeah,
starting quarterback for the Baltimore.
You gotta pick something like Mud, right?
Mud.
It's like something that you're like, yeah, that's my boy Mud. He's a star.
That's my boy Mud.
Hog. Or I guess we could do like Brock. Short. Producer Keith says, "Is that short for Hogdrick?"
Hogdrick.
Or is it short for Hogathy?
Hogathy, dude. Yeah, I didn't like Hogathy.
I think I'm going with something like Storm David, like just a normal middle name, but with a first name like Storm. Get that Storm out there on the field.
Storm. Name him like Goliath.
There was a guy named Storm that played for the Jaguars. Storm Sanders? No, Ace Sanders. They had a guy Storm.
Let's just sit here and name last names that could go with it until we come up with
Storm.
You type Storm Johnson was his name.
Storm Johnson.
Out of all the last names it could have been.
There it is. There's Scott Fish.
It's Scott Fish. Yeah, he had it. Yeah. Man, if I had to bet money on someone coming in knowing the last name of the player, it was
Strom Johnson's kind of a
Strom Johnson sounds
like the name of like a judge. The Honorable Judge Strom Johnson will now preside over the case.
Or Strom Johnson, attorney at law. Have you been in an accident? Have you been hit by an 18-wheeler? Strom Johnson's got you covered. All 7-777-7777. We'll get you your settlement now.
I didn't expect you to keep going with the sevens.
That was pretty deep.
Strom Johnson approves of this message.
Yeah, so I think Strom Johnson's the name I'd go with.
Okay, Strom Johnson. We got to figure it out. I think you're right. We got another question in the chat here. Would you start in PPR Edmonds, Jacobs, or Khalil Herbert? Chase Edmonds, Josh Jacobs,
don't trust
or
any of
Khalil
those.
Herbert.
I know that is a predicament.
If you could just combine the two Dolphins running backs into one, I'd start that dude. That dude would be a super high end RB1, but they're just splitting the work directly down the middle, bro.
Do they have four legs in this situation?
They have to, dude. They'd have to. A four-legged running back.
I think
a four-legged running back, Strom Johnson, just general Grievous.
Just crab walking everywhere.
Four arms too, just straight General Grievous, like snagging every pass. Also, dude, you catch the ball with two hands while stiff arming.
That's true, yeah.
And picking your nose.
Yeah, so I would start that guy if he's available. Otherwise, I'd probably start Khalil Herbert if David Montgomery is out. So if David Montgomery's out, I'm starting Khalil Herbert. Otherwise, I'd probably start Josh Jacobs.
As right now, I'm starting Khalil Herbert. The matchup is the tiebreaker for me. Khalil Herbert is playing against the Giants. Jacobs has Denver. Chase Edmonds has the Bengals. The Giants are one of the easier defenses against the run, and so that really breaks the tie between these guys. Because I agree with you, Coop. It's ugly. All three of these guys have concerns this week.
Now, if they say so, the Bears have not yet ruled out David Montgomery. Are you going Khalil Herbert even if he's going to be active? You think, JL? Yep. Are you going there? You are.
Yep.
JL, you are such a saucy dog.
Dirty boy.
I don't think though. Even if he's playing, I don't think that he's going to get. I don't think they're going to give him like 100% of the workload.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is, like Khalil Herbert's been, even with the limited carries, he's been super efficient. Crazy. Yeah. Like I don't think any of these games he's finished under 5 yards a carry, and it's been like 9-10 yards a carry in the other ones. So pretty crazy that offense can be so bad with such a efficient rushing attack. Like,
yeah.
What in tarnation?
And am I crazy for starting Josh Jacobs? Like I feel the safest in his workload. I feel the most comfortable in his workload. So I'm plugging in Josh Jacobs. We thought that was going to be a committee, and so far it doesn't look like it is. This Raiders team hopefully gets going. Like hopefully looks a little bit better. We've seen flashes from this offense. Last week, first half, we saw the offense start looking decent. Maybe if the defense and the offense could put it together in the same half, we might get some momentum for this Raiders team. Tommy, I think it gets better for your Raiders. They're not going to finish as the worst team in the league. I think they're the only team. No, the Texans haven't won a game either, but they tied. I was going to say they're the only 0-3 team in the league right now, right? The Raiders?
Yep.
Are they?
I think they're the last 0-3 team. Tommy's saying yeah down there. There's no way. Like I feel like there's 5-6 teams that are worse than this Raiders team, at least down there at the bottom. It's going to get better for them. There's no way they can stay just completely defeated. They don't deserve to be down there with the Browns and the Lions in that conversation. Also, Scott in here saying, oh, man, Jacobs against the Broncos, though. They haven't allowed a back over 50 yards. Does that concern you, Coop?
Yeah, it does concern me. I mean, I didn't know that, Scott. So that is a bit of a curveball. I mean, like I said, if I'm starting, the other two guys are split. right? If Dave Montgomery plays, but if Montgomery doesn't play, it's definitely Khalil Herbert for me. It's just the problem is that with Chase Edmonds, we don't know that he's going to have that because he's such a hot hand coach. We've seen them like Raheem Mostert start the game and play well, or not even start the game, but come in on like the second snap and then just play the entire game. That's what scares me about Chase Edmonds. And then Khalil Herbert, of course, is the backup running back when David Montgomery's healthy. So if Montgomery's out, I'm going Khalil Herbert, but I will start Josh Jacobs, even against a defense like that, because he's the only one of that group that I feel confident in their workload, like you said, Simon.
Yeah. We had another question in here, 20-team PPR. So this is a big boy league.
20
Start
team.
2 at flex. Montgomery. So we got David Montgomery, Jacoby Myers, Nyheim Hines, Alec Pierce, and Olamide Zaccheaus. Who are you starting, Coop, out of these?
I can't start David Montgomery unless they come out and say he's good. I'm starting Jacoby Myers for sure. Like even after everything I said earlier, like I trust him more than Alex Pierce, who hasn't even been playing minimal snaps in a lot of these games. Olamide Zaccheaus is like the third man. So he is playing like 60% of the snaps, but that's a pretty nasty question. But it's a 20-man league, so these might not even be bad players in this format, you know.
No,
Nyheim Hines is just such a he only plays pass plays this year. Like he's getting like 2 handoffs. He's going full James White.
That matchup for him is pretty nice. He's playing Tennessee, which is not stopping anything.
What I was going to say is I think this might be an all right game to plug in Nyheim Hines. And I agree with you about Jacoby Myers. I'm going Myers and Hines out of these. I just I can't roll out Pierce or Montgomery right now. And I feel like Hines has a little bit more upside than Zaccheaus. So I'm going to plug him in there.
Yeah. Hines actually been pretty consistent on the catching passes part. 4, 5, 6 every game. Catching more passes than Alec Pierce.
That's pretty good. And if he can break some off against this weak Tennessee Titans defense, then he could have a good week. I'm also going Nyheim Hines and Jacoby Myers.
Yeehaw!
You know Hines has that game coming at some point where he scores like a 30-yard receiving touchdown, then runs back a punt or something.
Yeah, like week 1 last year.
Yeah, he like somewhere in the season he always has that game where you're like, this guy's still good.
Absolutely. Eric, and you said apologies if this was answered. Might have missed it. James Conner or James Robinson. We all went with James Robinson. I believe all 3 of us said we would start James Robinson over James Conner.
They're so I didn't expand on my answer whenever that came up, but they are so close. Honestly, I'm fine starting either one. Like I think my answer was that you have to start James Robinson at this point because he's just so good. But exactly. James Conner is good this week too.
If James Conner didn't have the ankle, I would think I would have them exactly even. But James Conner's coming off a ankle injury.
Right.
God, you were mentioning that play about Nyheim Hines, and I was having this weird memory back to Sunday where there was one player who did something great and then made me think this player every season makes us talk about them. And I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was on a punt, and they ran along the end zone, tiptoed along the end zone to get out of bounds to down it on the 1 yard line, but I can't remember who did it, who it was. It was a player that every year, like there's a play where we're like, oh yeah, that dude exists. We have to talk about him because he makes it look awesome. But he just like tiptoed down the end zone line, and I can't remember who did it. I'm going to try to figure that out.
Yeah, figure it out for us.
Guys, we got some more fun stuff coming up. We're going to be talking some DFS plays for you for this week. And then we got a new game called the Goodell Test coming up. And our friend Alex, the father, the daddy of the trade charts to end all trade charts. Trade Daddy is coming on the show to talk some trade values with us as well. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
You can't be happy if you're a fan of Denver right now. I know they're 2-1. They look horrendous, man.
Well, how about this player? I almost put him in, and then last second took him out, figured I'd give him another week. What about Javonte Williams? Would he be a trend down type of player at this point? He's still getting the carries. He's running all right. He's just not scoring. That's the problem. And the big thing is when you look at his production from a total basis, 11 passes week 1? It was a lot.
I think you stay the course with him. I know, again, people are so frustrated. Guys, why are you surprised, man? We all know Javonte Williams is the best player in that backfield. It's clear. But people who play fantasy need to understand and I said this before the year, there are certain players that coaches love. Melvin Gordon is one of those players. Is he as dynamic, explosive? No. But he does a lot of the little things that coaches love. Those guys are going to get their touches. You have to understand that. So should Javonte Williams be the main back? Yeah. And we've started to see it shift a little bit. I know you're frustrated because Gordon got the touchdown, but I don't know why you're surprised by this. They told you this before the year. It was more like 50-50 last year. It's not now. You can't sit here and complain about it. Like, you act like this came out of nowhere. I can't believe Melvin Gordon is playing snaps.
You're not talking about me, are you?
No. Anyone who is sitting there and is just stunned that Javonte Williams is not getting, like, all these snaps. Now, could it get better as the season goes along and they start to go, you know what? Javonte's more explosive. We need him on the field now. I mean, they're 2-1, okay? So that's the problem with some of these teams that win games. They think, oh, we won, so everything is good. But let's look at the snaps. So Javonte Williams played 33. Melvin Gordon played 28. The biggest problem is Mike Boone played 14. That I don't get. Javonte Williams and Gordon each ran 13 routes. Boone, 11. 5 targets for Williams, 6 for Melvin Gordon. Javonte had 15 carries, Gordon 12. Javonte Williams had 20 looks. So he had 15 carries, 5 targets, and he caught 3 passes. So he had 18 touches. You're going to complain about a running back getting 18 touches? Come on, man. He's better than Melvin Gordon, no doubt. But Javonte's not getting 35 touches. They had the ball out last night. Does it suck that they took him out near the goal line? Absolutely.
Straight eye formation. They hand it up to Gordon, running left. Gordon into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
This is not anything shocking here.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. And we are going to talk some DFS plays for you this week. What we're going to do, we're going to do it a little bit differently than we've maybe done in the past. We want to build a core lineup for you guys. So we're going to break it down a little bit. I'm going to come in with a QB wide receiver stack that I like for this week. Coop's going to add a tight end for us. JL's going to add a running back. And then we think this is a solid core you can start with to build your lineup around. Go from there, kind of build around these core set of players that we like for this week. I'm going to start us off with that QB wide receiver stack that I like. And I was debating quite a bit in this one because I feel like there's some fun games where, like, it might be fun to pay up at quarterback this week. There might be some games where it makes sense, but I found a value at quarterback with a stack that I like in a game where I like the game script that I think this is going to play out well in your lineups and you can save a little bit of cash. So the stack that I'm going with at QB and wide receiver is Geno Smith and DK Metcalf in this game this week, going up against the Detroit Lions. And what I like about this game is the over-under set at 50 points. They're expecting this to be a high-scoring game, and we know that Lions offense can score, right? But we've also seen teams put up points against them, and I think the Seahawks are going to stay competitive in this game. They're 4.5-point dogs, so they're likely going to be playing from behind as well, needing to throw the ball quite a bit. Geno Smith has looked decent enough, and I think he's going to be able to get going with DK Metcalf in this game. Geno Smith is only $6,600 on FanDuel. DK Metcalf a little bit more at $7,100. But you start with that solid core and what's expected to be a high-scoring game, getting the quarterback that's likely going to be playing from behind. I'm happy with that. And I think it's worth maybe not paying up at that quarterback position.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Dustin goes, Simon about to get Jeff Okudah. Now, that is a distinct possibility, but when you go back and look at the first game of the season and some of these subsequent games, they put Jeff Okudah on the flanker at times, not the split end. So AJ Brown plays split end, and Jeff Okudah took away Devonta Smith in the first week, right? Yeah. And they put him on Terry McLaurin rather than Jahan Dotson. And then Adam Thielen is the big, tall split end, and they put him on the flanker, who goes in the flanker in the slot in Justin Jefferson. So I think it's a real possibility that Tyler Lockett, coming off back-to-back games of 11 targets, could be the guy that gets taken away. Now, there is a possibility they put him on Metcalf and he has a rough day because Okudah does look like the real deal. But I think it's not crazy for Simon to take that shot, especially considering every quarterback out there that's even reasonable is $8,000 on
insane,
FanDuel.
Right? That's what I was looking at. Like how
you're
many
saving a lot of money, dude.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of change that you're saving over there. Maybe allow you to spend up at some of these other positions, and it's a good matchup. Like I know we're looking at Jeff Okudah, but for Geno Smith, it's a good matchup. And I'm with you. I'm with you, Coop. I think there's a real chance we see him cover and Lockett.
And I'm glad you picked this game because this actually allows us to do. I picked a player from this game too. I picked TJ Hawkinson, right? So I'm looking at it. I'm looking at his price, and only 5,400. So the 9th most expensive tight end. I think that he's still a guy that should be ranked somewhere just outside the top 5 or so guys. Given when you look at some of the metrics, like he's still getting a big target share. He just hasn't really done much with it. The over under this game obviously is like 50, so it could be the shootout game of the week. And you have ARSB and Swift banged up. Those are guys that eat up a lot of those low ADOT targets. If either of them can't go, or especially if both of them can't go, then Swift is going to be that guy kind of operating in the low to intermediate area that could soak up a lot of those passes. So if this game ends up being the shootout that, when you look at what Vegas says, close game, high over under, could be a shootout. If it ends up going that way, you get the quarterback and wide receiver on one side, Hawk on the other side, and you got a nice little stew going.
Yeah, and I love grabbing a player like on the opposite side of your stack, right? Like throwing something, because if we expect the Seahawks to be playing from behind, well, someone's got to score those points on the Lions side of the ball. Try to capitalize on that game script that we're already needing to go right for this lineup to succeed, right? Like keep on playing that same game script. JL, do you have a running back for us that we're adding into this mix?
I do have a running back. My running back that I'm adding to the mix is Najee Harris. I think he's a solid DFS play this week. He's $7,000 on FanDuel. Vegas is expecting this game to be low scoring. I think the total is set at 40 or 40 and a half. So they're expecting it to be a low scoring game. I think that I would take the over. I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring. They're still giving Najee Harris the majority of the opportunities. He's got a 78.5% opportunity share in that offense, and he's ranked 10th in red zone touches amongst running backs. So what I saw in this game last week with Najee is they're gonna give him the ball. They're set on giving him the ball, and I think that this Jets defense, which is not fantastic against the run, is not going to be able to stop Najee. So I think Najee is set for a big game. I think that's $7,000 on FanDuel is pretty good price.
I mean, considering the other running backs, I mean, it's just like quarterback, right? You got to spend 8, 9 to get like Chubb or McCaffrey, and I don't think that Najee has that much lower of an upside than those guys, right? So like,
yeah,
pretty good bargain. I just actually went and plugged this lineup in. So we're talking your core would be Geno, Najee, DK Metcalf, and then Hawkinson. So you got a QB, wide receiver, RB, tight end. And then I didn't pick the top defense. Like obviously you could start the Packers against the Patriots. That'd probably be pretty smart, right? With Brian Hoyer. But I don't know if Brian Hoyer is going to be too prone to making big mistakes. He could just play really conservative. So I went down, I got the Chargers versus the Texans, which is not too far. I mean, they're probably the 5th or 6th best ranked defense this week. If you plug that lineup in, you can average 7,300 on your other players. So you can fill the rest of your lineup with a running back, a couple wide receivers, and a flex. Where I mean, you can put McCaffrey in this lineup, and
I was going to say you can go wild. Nothing's off limits
right.
If that's the average amount you have left per player.
You can go crazy. So that's a pretty decent core. I'm going to build a lineup with this. I think you guys should do the same. We'll see if anybody can win a little dough with this one.
Yeah. And let's see who builds the best lineup with this core, right? Like we're all starting with the same core here that's going to blow up. It's going to be nothing but hot players in the core, but we'll see who can make those extra.
Would be my favorite outcome though? Jeff Okudah just destroys DK Metcalf, and Dustin
a terrible lineup.
And Dustin's completely right, dude. Like, I mean, it's entirely within the range of outcomes. But if Okudah is on Lockett, maybe we get that AJ Brown game out of Metcalf, and then it's Fireboy.
Absolutely. So that's our DFS core for this week. We're gonna come up with some lineups around those, and we'll share how those do after the end of this weekend. We have some questions in the chat that I wanted to make sure we were answering. The first one comes in from Tyson Carter. He says, in my other league, is it crazy to start Mac Hollins over DK or DJ Moore? So, Coop, would you be willing to start Mac Hollins over either DK Metcalf or DJ Moore this week?
Nah, so I'm not willing to do it. So he does play a big snap share even when Hunter Renfrow plays, but I think Hunter Renfrow is expected to be back this week now.
He is.
Should be him.
Yeah, so with Hunter Renfrow back, I'm not doing it. I'm starting DK for all the reasons we just talked about. DJ Moore, he's fallen victim to Baker Mayfield, who John Pemba pointed out to me on the Fantasy Alarm podcast has I believe it's the worst QBR in the league so far this year, which is insane considering that Justin Fields is in the league. But that's considering he's in the, right. I mean, just like
to be fair, Justin Fields has thrown like 7 passes all year, so it might be a little bit skewed, right? Smaller sample size.
Yeah, I think that it could be the case. So yeah, Baker's not having that good of a game of a season so far. So you gotta be careful with DJ Moore. It really is a shame. But I would start DK Metcalf because Mac Hollins really truly is the 4th target on that team, and he has been all year until one of the guys got hurt. But now that guy's back. So
yeah, I don't think Mac Hollins is necessarily a bad start, but I'm plugging these other 2 guys in ahead of him.
Scott Fish also pointed out in the chat I saw earlier. He pointed out that 2 of those plays were kind of fluky, huge plays that you're just not dependable type plays for Mac Hollins. So you got to be careful with that. Sometimes when you look at the box score, it looks really nice, but it really turns out that it was just 1 or 2 plays that are not sticky or sustainable from week to week. Like Devontae Parker had a couple of those plays where it's like he's not the kind of guy that you can count on to make those plays every week.
We had another question in here from XXX Lex. Welcome in, Lex. Glad to have you here.
XXX Lex.
Yeah. Brees Hall for my T. Higgins. My team is Lamar Jackson, Swift, Henderson, Kenneth Walker, Brian Robinson. They've got A.J. Brown, Jamar Chase, Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, and Elijah Moore at wide receiver, and then Conklin at tight end. Would you guys be making that trade? Brees Hall, giving away T. Higgins, getting Brees Hall.
I don't
think I could.
Yeah, it stinks because you're kind of selling low on T. Higgins, but with that lineup, I mean, you're going to start who? Darrell Henderson and Kenneth Walker this week?
Depends on I guess if Swift doesn't play, that it's rough at running back. I feel like you could get a little bit more for Higgins.
I would try
Brees Hall.
I would go on a fishing expedition to see if you can get more for T. Higgins or see if you can get Brees Hall for like Garrett Wilson, right? Like
maybe you could get like a Dameon Pierce. Is that above Brees Hall for you, or is that below Brees Hall for you?
Dameon Pierce. Above,
I'd rather have Hall.
You'd rather have Hall than Pierce the rest of the season?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of names that maybe you could go after. Maybe Patterson. Like maybe the Patterson owner is scared that he's going to fall off like we did last year. Tried. Maybe you could go trade Higgins for Patterson.
What's your record?
I would not do that. I'd rather have Higgins personally.
Yeah, replied with T. Yeah, he tried Garrett Wilson already. I mean, it's tough because like all these guys are on his bench because he's starting AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. Can you bench Marquise Brown after he just got 17 targets? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, that's what JL, I agree with you. In a vacuum, I prefer T. Higgins over Patterson, but this isn't a vacuum, and this team is rough at running back, especially if Swift misses.
Hey, 3-0 team. Ride it out, dude. Maybe just ride it out.
I would maybe ride it out. Yeah. I don't know that I would give up that value to make that move now. And if you are going to get a running back, I love Cordero Patterson. I think he's great. I think T. Higgins should garner a much higher quality running back in terms of value.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, just ride it out 1 week. Throw Henderson and Ken Walker in there. You could probably still do that trade at any point, or you could open up, gives yourself time to do more trades. It's just like tough to do that move. But yeah, this is what happens with hero RB. At some point, you got to get that second running back, right? And if your hero RB gets hurt, then you're in the situation where you have all these great wide receivers, and if people don't cooperate with the trade market, that's the way it goes. But this is the beauty of a hero RB team too, is that you're 3-0 because of how good your wide receivers are.
We had another question in here. Tony Pollard or Melvin Gordon this week? Would you rather start Tony Pollard or Melvin Gordon? The Cowboys going up against the Commanders, I believe is what we said. And then we've got the Broncos playing against the Raiders on Sunday. Coop, are you starting Melvin Gordon against the Raiders or Tony Pollard against the Commanders?
I'm starting Melvin Gordon just because they're in a similar spot where they're kind of like the kind of 1B player, but Melvin Gordon does get the goal line work. It seems Melvin Gordon's like a Jamal Williams plus right now, whereas Tony Pollard is kind of like a Miles Sanders. Like he's just carrying the water on the field for other people to drink it, right? Like, so as explosive as Tony Pollard looks, like if he's gonna bring it down to the 1 yard line and Zeke is gonna score like just happened this last week, then I'm not super interested. Whereas at least Melvin Gordon, like they give him the cracks if he's the one getting it down there.
Joe, what about you? Pollard or Gordon?
Yeah, I agree with Coop, and I like the matchup for Melvin Gordon. The Raiders have not been very good against the run, and so I think he can score some points here. I'm gonna go Pollard though. I'm gonna give the edge to Pollard. Pollard just looks so good this past week. He's hyper efficient.
I've been watching in real time. You slowly turn into a Pollard truther. Like it's like every single week, like I see it in your eyes. Like you're like, do I like him more than Zeke? Like by this next, like by like week 6, you're going to be like Pollard starter, RB1 in Dynasty. Like it's just going to escalate slowly. Like I see it changing in your eyes.
That's how it happens.
You love that, dude. No, but you're right, Joe. Like, how can you not? Like he has looked truly electric out there on the field whenever he has the ball in his hands. I'm with you, but I'm still starting Gordon. I'm starting Gordon in this matchup. I like the matchup. All the things Coop said. JL, what do you think about Pollard rest of season now that we're sitting here talking about him? Like, do you think he develops an even larger role in this offense? Like, are they going to start making that switch, or is it still the Zeke show? We talked a little bit about it with Jerry Jones, but what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, we did talk about it a bit yesterday. I believe we said that Zeke is still on he has another year in his contract, right? Coop, I believe you added that in.
Yeah, I know. Zeke does. Zeke has like a bunch of years left on his contract, but they can cut him. But like it gets progressively easier to cut him as it goes on. But if they cut him next year, it'll still be 11 mil in the books, right? So that's the whole problem is if they cut Zeke and sign Pollard, their running back room combined between those two guys is going to be like $20 million. Whereas if they just keep Zeke, it'll be, it'll probably be, it's less money to just keep Zeke than it is to cut Zeke and pay Pollard.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that like makes their team better. Like cutting Zeke and giving the ball to Pollard doesn't necessarily make the Cowboys a better team, and from an NFL perspective, just makes them weaker at running back.
I think the most realistic options are to somehow find a way to pay both, or to let Pollard walk, because they'll probably also, the thing about letting Pollard walk on top of this whole thing is that if you let Pollard walk and somebody else signs him to a big contract, you're going to get a 3rd or 4th round compensatory pick back. So it's like you got this running back that you can let leave and get a 3rd round pick, or you can cut Zeke and get no pick and eat $11 million. So, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. In a vacuum, you would probably just pick Pollard, but when you really factor in the financials, it's kind of a jam they're in.
Yeah. Jerry Jones putting himself in a jam.
We had one more question in here. Bronson wanted to know, trade Gabe Davis, Jeff Wilson, and Devin Duvernay for Ezekiel Elliott and DK Metcalf. Jail, would you be willing to make that trade?
Gabe Davis, Jeff Wilson, and Devin Duvernay,
or Tyler Higbee. So Duvernay or Higbee, but I was just throwing Duvernay in there for Ezekiel Elliott and DK Metcalf.
For Zeke and DK Metcalf, yeah, I would make that trade.
Coop, what about you? Gabe Davis, Jeff Wilson, and Duvernay for Zeke and DK. You're getting back.
I would. I like to consolidate. And for upside, I would trade Higbee instead of Duvernay if possible. Higbee, his usage is better than it's ever been, because usually in years past he blocked on like 1 of every 4 pass plays. Now he's blocking more like 1 of every 8 or 9. But Higbee's upside is just, it's boring to me.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys. Coming up, we are going to play a new game that we have for you called the Goodell Test. And then after that, our friend Alex, Trade Daddy Extraordinaire, is coming on the show to talk some Week 4 trade values with us. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on the Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
Surely, kickers never retire, I think. They just continue playing for all eternity. Like, there's only ever been 30 NFL kickers.
They're always readily available too, it seems. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they just get called up. They're like, you kicked for us 10 years ago, right? Why don't you
run it back? That's right.
I imagine every single kicker that gets the call is on a high school football field somewhere just practicing field goals after hours. Like it's like 9 p.m. and they're out there just at the local high school kicking field goals, and the phone rings. They get a call and they're like, yeah, I'm ready. I've been practicing for this.
I have an amazing kicker story if you guys have a second.
I got a couple.
The number one all-time field goal kicker is Adam Vinatieri. The next two guys are Morton and Gary Anderson, right? Gary Anderson was a dude from like South Africa that just played rugby and soccer. He just could absolutely boot the ball, right? They bring him over and he does like a tryout and he's just absolutely crushing the ball. And all these colleges are like, dude, we want you to come kick field goals for us. And he goes, I don't even want to play football. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, I want to play soccer. He goes, so if I can come to your school and play soccer, I'll also, in the fall, I'll kick for the football team. And Syracuse was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you're on the soccer team. Like, come on. And he went to Syracuse to play soccer, but also kick field goals. And then he ended up being a top 3 point scorer in the NFL all the time.
That's ridiculous.
And his answer to recruiters was, I don't want to play football. I'll do it in my spare time.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. He's like, you got a spot for me on the soccer team. Syracuse is like, yeah, we got a spot for you.
We don't even care about our soccer team.
We don't even care.
We totally have that spot.
Like, they had to like cobble together a soccer team. Like, yeah, this guy's the captain.
Oh my God. It's like Accepted, the movie, but they just like had to throw together a whole fake soccer team.
Somehow they still got Justin Long.
Right, yeah. Like, Adam Sandler's the coach. And dude, it's imagine they win the national championship. That's a movie, dog. Yeah.
Boom!
Someone call up Disney. Yeah, we just wrote a movie for you, Disney. This has Disney sports movie written all over. I'm borderline crying right here just thinking about this movie right now.
Dude, the story gets even crazier. Like, I should have looked it up again, but like, it was like a high school coach that went and found him, and then that high school coach ended up being somebody crazy famous that like coached for the Rams.
Stay tuned for sports. Talk about your picks, your fantasy teams, and your sports collectibles on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to play a brand new game that we are calling the Goodell test. If you've ever heard of a Rorschach test, or however the hell you pronounce that word, I've only ever seen it written. Rorschach test. That's the test where they show you a blob, like a black blob image, and you have to determine what it looks like to you, what it looks like. So our producer, Keith, has prepared some video clips for us. He's going to play those clips. We're going to tell you what NFL team or NFL player it reminds us of, kind of get a peek into the psyche of Coop, JL, and I after we watch these video clips. So you guys ready for this?
Oh, yeah, I hope.
Dale goes first.
One of us is going to be crying. The first video clip is going to come up. It's going to be like, this reminds me of my father, and just immediately crying on the middle of the show. I think we're ready for our first clip, Keith.
I tell you right off the top of my head, we have to go with what we think of first. Definitely reminds me of my bachelor party this weekend with me and my
birthday party.
Yeah, my birthday party. Yeah, when football games start. Like, because we're from the East Coast, so we're over there, and football started at like 10 a.m. So that was us at like by like 3 in the afternoon after the Bud Lights were storming. We were just like, football.
Yeah, Beelzebubs.
Yeah, after the Beelzebubs are flying around. So yeah, that was my first thought on that one. I don't know, Jail. What did that one? What came to mind for you?
What came to mind for me was Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos. And the whole jumping all hyped beforehand. They're all jumping hyped, and then they fall down. And that's the season starting.
That is such a Russell Wilson thing too, dude. Just be like, come on, gang. Come on, gang. Let's get in the circle and jump. Let's put all our purses in the middle.
See, what immediately came to mind is like, I've seen this before. In the 7th grade, I was supposed to go to a Panic at the Disco concert, right? But I got in trouble because I was a bad kid. And by bad, I just mean not mean, just mischievous, right? I was nice. I didn't shut up, and I got into little bits of trouble here and there. So I wasn't allowed to go. Too many Pokemon cards. I wasn't allowed to go to the Panic at the Disco concert. I bought one too many Blastoise that week. I wasn't allowed to go. But then I had friends that went to this concert, and they were jumping up and down to the Tabernacle, an army of 12-year-olds like dancing to Panic at the Disco. And the floor collapsed mid-concert, like dropped at this concert venue. I think there were a couple injuries. Nobody died, but I'm immediately sitting there thinking like, oh, that could have been me at Panic at the Disco, but I got in trouble for buying too many Blastoise cards. But Jail,
when the floor collapsed, would you say that there was a bit of a panic at the disco?
There was a bit of a panic at the disco. There was a bit of a panic
at the disco.
Yeah, shout out to them, dude.
Man, first albums and like my top 5 albums of all time.
This makes me think of my love for the Chicago Bears this offseason, and then immediately crashing through the floor.
That's you and Darnell Mooney.
That's me and Darnell Mooney, like celebrating, like Fields is going to be better. Fields is going to be better. And then we just crash through the floor.
After 3 weeks so far, what team do you think really is starting to panic at the disco?
The Bears.
The Bears. The Raiders.
Gotta be the Bears.
The Raiders are 0-3. I think it's time to.
The Raiders are tilting for sure. Yeah,
0-3, and they gave Devontae Adams $250 million. I think it's time to start panicking at the disco.
And Dustin said that was the Cardinals' offense from preseason to now. Yeah, there's a couple of teams this one could apply to. You guys ready for our next clip? See what this one reminds us of?
I like this game.
Keith, roll the clip.
Slithering. Watch out! Here's the.
Oh, can we get that one more time? That moment of impact. I feel like I didn't get to fully absorb that. Oops, sorry, Coop. I just ruined it.
Slithering. Watch out!
Dude, who took the time? That person's probably badly hurt. Somebody sat there and was like, I'm gonna dub wrestling announcers over this just to make it that worse. The RKO out of nowhere. Like, jeez. For me, dude, the first thing I thought about was Mac Jones against the if you guys remember the hit against the Dolphins, he got absolutely crumpled in almost the same exact fashion where somebody came in low and he like turned this way and he just got folded in half like a folding chair, dude, which it was pretty much that exact hit, except worse.
This is Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Like one of them's distracting them, and then boom, from the other side, here comes Khalil Mack just messing you up. Oh, and JL has something really interesting to say, I'm sure.
Shoot.
Clown nose. We got to get those noses,
man. Honk. Yeah, you sent me your address. I'm going to ship them today.
I sent it to you. Check your text. I sent it to you.
I know. I said you did. I agree with you. This one made me think of a few things. It made me think of, first of all, that time. I think it was it Joe Flacco who it was like 2 years ago or something, got hit and was like laying on his back in the end zone. I think it was the end zone. And he was like it seemed like he was like having a seizure or something, but he just got hit really hard in his head. And I think he got like severely concussed.
Was it the quarterback or the wide receiver?
It was a quarterback for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a fill-in quarterback, and I'm like struggling. I don't know if it was Joe Flacco. For some reason,
I think I remember who you're talking about.
Kept trying to play.
It was like they did like a kind of a bit of a helicopter there.
Josh McCown. Josh McCown helicoptered into the end zone. If it's the same as the helicopter play, Josh McCown got helicoptered.
It wasn't a helicopter.
Okay.
This was like a sack. Yeah, sack.
Jill's like, I remember every helicopter I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know helicopters.
This was not Josh McCown's helicopter.
The other thing this made me think of was watching Daniel Jones this past week and watching just the rush. Man, like there was a couple times where there's like an edge rusher who just like I'm watching Daniel Jones and I'm like, there's no way he could react in time. Like the guy got there so quick and then just slammed him down, and it reminded me a lot of that.
Marcus Lawrence.
How much you guys got to get paid to take a shot from a bull like that? Like, what's the price? Hospital bills are covered. Okay, so like this is money on top of whatever injuries you sustain. What it costs to take.
Can I die?
Yeah, you could definitely die, bro.
Then probably nothing, because I probably would die.
Yeah, I think I would die. I think I'm out. I think that particular hit right there, dude, that looked like some serious head trauma, dude. I think I'm out on that one.
I don't know. I got some student loans that like you.
Simon's like, I'm real desperate.
You pay off my student loans. You can ram me with a bull. Like you can absolutely ram me with a bull.
Ew.
That's like an email? That's like an email you sent to Biden.
I see your offer of 10K and I raise you the entire thing, and you get to sick a bull on me.
You get to sick a bull on me.
Yeah, no one. And then Simon.
Approved.
Yeah. I'm glad this came across my desk.
Also, Dustin and he's saying bulls are so much bigger in person. Rode one for my 21st birthday. It was crazy. Dustin, God, he's got a fridge full of beef. He drafts running back heavy and he rides bulls on his birthday. High T fantasy football from Dustin.
Dustin
right
got
there.
the stones, bro.
Stones.
Okay, Jail, how much to ride a bull? Like one that's angry, like at a bull riding competition.
Oh,
I would do that because I think it's less likely you die. And I would do it for $5 million.
$5 million.
A cool $5 million, and I'm getting on that bull.
I think I'll do it for 5,000 if I get off pretty quick. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't think it'll be a problem. You getting off?
They got those clowns. They got those clowns there. Gather you right up, dude.
Oh, yeah, so you'll get off no problem with all those clowns present, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Speaking as a gentle white male who lives in the northeast suburbs,
a white male.
I'm pretty sure I can handle a bull. Speaking as somebody who has quite possibly never seen a bull in person, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be a problem for me.
Tim said I'd do it for a really good pizza and a case of beer, but not an average pizza. That's where he draws the line. Nothing about the quality of the beer, though.
Some Tadaros.
For some reason, I picture Tim Wright like doing the full 8 seconds and then them being like, get off. And he'd be like, I'm not done yet. You know, like Tim is just like a rowdy fella.
You get off.
He's got that kind of mustache. Yeah.
He does have that kind of mustache.
Keith, I think we're ready for our third clip here. Can we get that clip playing?
Keith is right in the chat. Need some Bud Lights before. I need my medicine.
How are you going to ride a bull without it?
Bro, I'll tell you. Can I go first on this one?
Yeah.
I immediately thought of that horrifying thumb commercial we played.
Same.
You too, dude. Oh, dude.
Yeah, 100%. That's where my mind went immediately.
I have goosebumps, dude. Like, I don't know. Now I know how Simon feels. I don't like it. I don't like that.
My girlfriend and I were talking about that commercial last night, and she just kept going like, the crease isn't even in the right spot. Like they didn't even use the naturally occurring crease on the thumb. They just added this mouth on like, and I was like, I know you're preaching to the choir here. I hate that thing. But this pancake, it reminds me of that, but it's like, it's sweet. Like maybe you don't expect this to be awesome. You expect it to be like the thumb, but that's sick. That's some fun I'd be having on a Sunday morning, whipping up some pancakes before the morning show. I'm going to go with, that reminds me of Mr. Joe Flacco. Like you're not expecting it to be great, right? You just cut a slit in a pancake, throw some googly eyes on there, but it's been pretty freaking sweet so far. Some googly eyes. But it's been pretty freaking sweet starting Joe Flacco so far. How many times can I say freaking sweet in a sentence?
Freaking sweet.
How many times can you say? How many times can you say the naturally occurring crease of the thumb?
The naturally occurring crease of the thumb.
What's an unnaturally occurring crease of the thumb?
Where
I guess it's that thumb commercial.
Yeah,
the mouth.
This is Joe Flacco in pancake form, and then Zach Wilson's going to come in. He's an Eggo waffle. Some people prefer it, some people don't. It's got lower upside than a pancake, that's for sure. But we got singing pancake mouth Joe Flacco going wild, slinging the ball around the field.
This one reminds me of the Jacksonville Jaguars because everyone expected them to be a pancake. but they just came out singing. They just came out with that attitude, with those googly eyes, and they're having a good time. So breakfast time.
I don't know why this reminded me of it. I saw a TikTok yesterday where there was like this guy on the field, or not on the field, on a golf course getting interviewed. And he goes up to someone and he's like, yo, one of my patients gave me one of those goomies and I am not okay. Like, I cannot put the ball, but he's running around saying goomies. Some goomies got him messed up out there on the golf course. I'm like, did you mean gummies? He's like, no, goomies. That's what I said. Coop, who's this pancake?
I already said it was the thumb.
It's the thumb. It's the thumb. Just the thumb. Nothing. Coop's like, I can't get past the thumb.
I can't stop thinking about that thumb, dude. Justin in the chat also said thumb commercial flashbacks, dude.
Yeah, 100%. That's what it looks like.
And Craig said Goomy is a Pokemon. Goomy is a Pokemon. All hail Goomy. All hail Lord Goomy.
What's your favorite Pokemon, Ivan, while we're on the topic?
Oh, Poliwrath. Poliwrath is my number one favorite Pokemon.
Oh, really? Mine is Vileplume.
Vileplume, that's a good one. Vileplume is up there in my favorites. Jail, what's yours? I feel like I know this, but I can't place
man, I feel like I had it, and I'm just like having a hard time retrieving it because
and then he's like Charizard.
Pikachu's my favorite Pokemon.
Pikachu.
I always really like.
You're allowed to pick Pikachu. You're allowed to pick Pikachu.
Pikachu is not my favorite. Pikachu is not my favorite. I really like.
I'll give you time to think. So Vileplume.
I'll go Snorlax.
Okay.
It's basically Pikachu.
I was going to give you time to think.
Snorlax solid. Snorlax kind of a pain in the ass though.
Yeah, it's a little bit of pain in the ass, but I don't know. Every single time I encounter him in any game, I'm like, yes, I'm hyped. Like, I'm excited.
Because you're gonna get him. Because you know you're about to get. You know once you get that flute, you're gonna get that dude.
And when I was a kid playing those like initial like Snorlax was like not common, so it was like this rare thing. I feel like it's just stuck in my head.
Gotfish. My favorite Pokemon is Strom Johnson.
Strom Johnson.
Shelder. Tim Wright with the Shelder, dude. I would not have guessed Tim Wright for Shelder. Dustin with the Jigglypuff. Craig, shiny.
Wait, Craig, this is so weird. A shiny Buizel named Simon in my Pokemon Go game. The very first shiny Pokemon I ever caught was a Buizel in, I think it was in Heart Gold Soul Silver that I caught it. But that was my first shiny Pokemon ever, and he's got one named after me. That's so sweet, Craig.
Craig, send me your garbage. Craig, DM me your Pokemon Go thing. We'll link up. I haven't played in a while, but we got to do some trades.
Craig, DM me some feet pics after this as well. Once you're done sending Coop your Pokemon Go
Send me some feet pics. Send me some Vileplumes. Let's go.
Guys, coming up right after this, we've got the trade daddy himself, Alex, aka Peaked in High School, coming on to talk some Week 4 trade value. So make sure you're sticking around here. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Make bets and follow your fantasy team while you buy, sell, and trade collectibles in real time. Only on Better Sports Network.
I gotta tell this story, okay? So we're out in Canton, Ohio, and we decide to go eat late at night, like after midnight. We decide to go to the Waffle House. Somehow, Fensty's never been there, even though he lives near it. I'm in New York, New Jersey. There's no Waffle House close by. So if you go to the Waffle House, what are you going to eat more than likely? Pancakes, waffles, eggs, and all that, right? So, of course, our guy Rich, he gets breakfast. I get breakfast. Fensty doesn't. He's never been to a Waffle House. How do you not have waffles? Like, it makes no sense.
Dude, there's a time for waffles.
Eat breakfast at midnight. Come on, man.
That's the thing. I didn't want breakfast, man. I got like, what was it, like a cheesesteak sandwich or something like that?
That's like someone who has never been to IHOP going there and ordering a burger. Who does that?
That I wouldn't do. That I would not.
That's the equivalent of what you did. Well, I don't even know what you had.
I got this steak sandwich, which was
steak sandwich at the Waffle House. Never been there, and that's what you get. You're an odd guy, man.
I'm not an odd guy.
Yes, you are. Can we get a vote? Can we get a vote in the chat, please? I mean, if you've never been to Waffle House and you get a steak wrap, something's wrong with you, right? Don't you have to get waffles and eggs and bacon and all that? It's the Waffle House.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It was my first time, okay? Ordering the hash browns was already complicated enough. Smothered and covered, and it's almost like it's crazy how much combinations you can have. And I know that everybody's killing me for it right now. And no, to our producers, I don't get pasta at a steakhouse or anything like that. No,
Alfredo. That's what he gets at the steakhouse.
Do you follow me on Instagram? I'm always on that grill. You know how much I love steak. Why would I go to a steakhouse and get pasta?
Because you go to Waffle House to get steak wraps. That's why.
I didn't know it was all waffles, bro. I thought it had like a little bit of everything. That's why. You know, I didn't realize they were famous for the waffles. Hey, look. You know,
the name of the place is the Waffle House. What else would they be famous for?
You know what? That's fine. I guess it's a hot take getting a steak sandwich. As long as it was good, I housed that thing in 10 seconds.
Okay, you were never there, and that's the first time. You're not going to try a waffle? Do you admit it was a mistake?
I don't really like waffles.
Call, chat, enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to be joined by our great friend Alex, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, the daddy of the trade value charts, a contributor at The Athletic in 4 for 4. You can find him on Twitter at peakedinhs_FF, and we're excited to bring him up here to talk some Week 4 trade values. Alex, thanks for coming on again today, my man.
Always, guys. It's always good to start the morning off with the three of you.
Absolutely. Now, did you see that pancake video first and foremost?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so perfect. My next question is, what did it make you think of?
I assume pancakes. Is that not the right answer?
I didn't know you thought of that.
Yeah, you sure you didn't see it? Yeah. So wait, you didn't. It seems you did not run into the sleeve monster this morning because you noticeably have.
Yeah, what the hell?
You have at least twice as many sleeves today than you usually have on the show.
Wasn't able to go to the gym this morning. I hurt my neck last week, so I've been
gymless.
Yeah.
Nice
so
joke, Coop.
How are we even going to trust you on these trades?
With the bum neck.
Alex, questionable for Week 4. We'll keep you updated on his status as we get closer to kickoff. Alex, before we get into some of these values for this week, for people that maybe haven't taken a peek at your trade value charts before, do you want to give a little rundown of how these work? And then we can dive into some interesting things that happened this week.
Sure. So if you play fantasy football, you've probably seen trade value charts before. They're really handy. They're a tool to help you find trades in your league. What I'm doing a little bit differently is I built a model that seeds with expert consensus ranks to get a market snapshot. So what that does is it's going to take those rest of the season ranks, put them through a model, and then it breaks them out by position. So we look at trade values in terms of the running back position, in terms of wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, all of that. This particular chart also has tiers where it kind of breaks them up, and then it also has trends. So you can look at a player, how they're moving versus last week. What we found is if the player has a negative trend, usually a little bit harder to sell. Positive trend, they're usually a little bit easier. And that's just more of that market perception. I think we talked about that a little bit last week. Sometimes it's more about the people in your league and understanding how they feel about a player than their actual value.
Right.
Absolutely.
What makes these trade, like why use these trade values over, say, your run of the mill trade calculators? Like what is the advantage you're getting here?
So I am not a proponent of trade calculators. Actually, I think trade calculators take out the context and nuance of a trade. I think if you just straight up plug 3 players in on each side, you're not understanding the needs and the actual value that it's adding to the team. So I think that's one of the biggest things of trade charts versus trade calculators is it's a tool to help you do the job, and it's not doing that job for you. It's only as good as how you use it. So that's the big one, is when you're looking at a trade chart, it kind of is more of a starting point for a conversation, and that conversation is important when you're looking at trades.
Yeah, I love that. Because it's essentially like whenever we get questions up here, it's like, okay, well, in a vacuum, this is the side I want. But this, it's close enough. It depends on team. It depends on your situation. It depends on your strategy and all that. And I like that. I like that you're kind of breaking it up into those 2 components, Alex, because you're playing fantasy for a reason, right? You don't want other people to just make your decisions for you. And so a tool like this will help you make better decisions.
Yeah, that's really the goal is teach them to fish. Don't just put the fish into the fridge, right? Like we want to make sure they're getting the right.
Not just push the fish into the fridge.
That's really the only way to do things, dude. And it's like, that's when I first started this, like looking at guys like JJ, Zach Reason, like that's how they did things, right? Like they tell you why, and you're doing yourself a favor too, because if people understand how it works, then they'll understand why it didn't work, but you don't understand why you put it, like why it came to that way. So just like this chart, like if they understand how it works, then if they make a trade and it kind of falls through, they'll at least understand why it made sense at the time, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just posting rankings or sending a tweet that says, I'm drafting so-and-so in all my leagues, and you got to draft him in your leagues because it'll increase your chance of winning by 462%. Like, if you just do that, then no one's going to know why you said that. So it's all about process here. I love your process. That's why we have you on the show, and that's why we call you Trade Daddy, and we like you.
Trade Daddy.
Yeah.
Are we still workshopping that name, or are we stuck on that
Nope,
one?
it's
Yeah, we've actually already started working
failed.
on. We've actually already started working on the song. Jail, can you preview just a bit of the song? That
Trade Daddy.
Yum.
Like it? Yeah.
It's just the Red Robin
song.
It's just the Red Robin
Do we
I
have
wonder where that came from.
Are our lawyers prepared for that? Because they're definitely not going to be happy about that one.
I thought it was. We've got a couple options. We have one that was like Trade Daddy. Baby, I got you,
Daddy.
Don't you worry. But that one also will copyright. Trade Daddy.
I love that.
It's beautiful. Yeah, if you have ideas for the song, Alex, we can take those in. But the name we're stuck on. Everyone watching, if you have questions for Alex, if you've got some trade questions, now's the time to throw them in the chat. We got the Trade Daddy on here, so he's going to be here answering some of these questions. And we just posted a link to the trade value chart in our YouTube chat as well. So if you want to peek at this, look along as we're asking some of these questions, answering some of these, go ahead and click that link. And while you're there, give Alex a follow on Twitter at @peakedNHS_FF.
While we have a second, there was one that we struggled with. We had a hard time with earlier where we had a guy who his situation is one that we see a lot with people that go hero or zero RB, where they have a ton of wide receivers. Their hero RB got hurt. So they had Swift. He might not play this week. He's 3-0, so doesn't need to go too crazy here. But the offer on the table is Breece Hall for T. Higgins. He'd be trading away T. Higgins, getting Breece Hall. He also has AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Marquise Brown, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. So this guy basically went. The thing is his running backs are Swift, Darrell Henderson, who now is kind of just a pass catching back, Kenneth Walker, who only played 9 snaps this week, Brian Robinson recovering from a gunshot wound. So
he has one running back that's hurt. Gotcha.
He's one running back that's hurt, but he hit on every, like he went hero RB and then proceeded to hit on every wide receiver going all the way down. So when you pull up the trade chart, first question, of course, is should he do this T. Higgins for Breece Hall straight up move?
I mean, in a vacuum, that's one, right? Put in a trade calculator, hell no, right? They aren't even close. They're a whole tier apart. One's a tier 4 player up at 38, and this is looking at PPR, and the other one's tier 6 down at what's Hall? 22.5.
So he's like a whole hog. That's like two. Yeah. What did we say? A hog was 5 points.
I think a hog was 5, so he's like 4 or 5 hogs apart.
Wow,
hogs apart. That's a decent number of hogs, and we're looking at PPR, by the way, 4.1 quarterback, full PPR, or is the chart we're looking at it here on the show.
Yeah. So,
but we're not in a vacuum. We know his team. We know he has insane wide receiver depth. I'm tempted to take this trade. I don't know if I would just take this trade. I would probably look around and see if there's anyone else that desperately needs some wide receivers, and see. Like, I'm not going to take the first trade, but I think I would probably take this one. But also, he just has time, so he doesn't have to take it this week.
He doesn't. They're 3-0, which gives him time. Now, what I would do if I were him is, so he offered Garrett Wilson, right? Who is a couple hogs lower than Breece Hall, right? If he takes this trade chart and sends it to that dude, right? So he offered Garrett Wilson. The kid comes back with T. Higgins. He could realistically look at this trade chart and say, how about Marquise Brown? Marquise Brown actually lines right up with Breece Hall, and he has Marquise Brown. He's coming off a 17 target game. Like, if he wanted to make that move, he could easily send the kid this chart and be like, look, let's meet in the middle. You wanted Higgins. I wanted Wilson. This chart says it's even. Let's get it done. I mean, like, that's how you use this chart to your advantage, right? So that's what I would tell him. unless he truly believes that Marquise Brown's the kind of like Marquise Brown. He got 17 targets, but DeAndre Hopkins is coming back, so probably his only 17. I would wager that he's not going to have too many more 17 target games, right?
And when you have 17 targets, shouldn't you completely blow up, right? Like how often do you get 17 targets in our? I mean, he was good, but like.
I'll tell you, I was at the game. I was physically attending this game, and it was one of the least impressive 17 target games. I mean, I don't think he broke any tackles. Let's just say that it was a lot of taking the low hanging fruit for that offense. Like it was the cover 2 shell, and they were just going, Greg Dortch, Marquise Brown underneath, a lot of screens, a lot of junk. So.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's a really good. I mean, that's the perfect way to use the chart. That's great.
Yeah, I think that move would make more sense than moving Higgins for Breece Hall. I'm with you though, Alex. Like that's something I'd be willing to do, but not that first move, not the one where I'm accepting it before I test the waters a little bit. We had a question from John in here, a trade that he was looking at. He said Fournette and DJ Moore for Christian Kirk, Curtis Samuel, and J.K. Dobbins. Their other receivers the receivers they have right now are DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, and Gabe Davis. RBs are McCaffrey, Jones, and Fournette. So trading away Fournette, DJ Moore for Christian Kirk, Curtis Samuel, and J.K. Dobbins. Alex, what does this trade say to you? What is this speaking to you, Trade Daddy?
That they're terrified of their wide receivers with DJ Moore.
Get my hog calculator out. See if I can add these hogs up. Were you already doing that, Alex?
Yeah, I have paper. I'm doing it like a peasant. So 74.5 on one side, and there was DK. No, it was Jake Dobbins,
Christian Kirk, and Curtis Samuel on the other side.
Yeah, see, that's the problem is all of those 3 players are really undervalued, I think, right now. Dobbins, like, he was just getting warmed up. 15, yeah. I don't think it's going to be close. Yeah.
You think the Fournette and DJ Moore side is going to come out way on top, even with the big drop that DJ Moore had in these charts this week?
Yeah, mostly just because Samuel's still only at 8. People are really slow to accept him. And it's kind of the same with Kirk, to be honest.
Right, because Kirk right now is wide receiver 6 on this chart. He's like wide receiver 15. Do I think he's going to be wide receiver 6? Probably not. But I mean, wide receiver 15 feels low for perceived value at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's at least up at 30, 33, 32.5. That's movement. That's pretty good from being basically at 0 week 1 or near 0. Dobbins is starting to move up, and Samuel is undervalued. How do you guys? I mean, I guess fundamentally, how do you guys feel about DJ Moore? And then I forget the rest of his team. Does he desperately need the wide receiver depth? I just remember DJ Moore and then blacked out.
DJ Moore, Metcalf, Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to be desperate for it.
No.
But
Gabe Davis, man, shot up 28 points.
No, I accidentally overrode his value in the middle of the week to 0, and I was just hoping no one would notice, and I didn't want to go back in and manually change it. Thanks for pointing that out, though.
How many people on Reddit have already pointed that out?
1 so far.
Oh, wow, it's lower than I thought.
But I have about 150 comments I haven't read because I'm talking to you guys, so there will be more.
I'm in there right now. I'm in there right now, actually making sure everyone knows.
Yeah, thanks. Make sure you check this out. Make him go in and change it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
So the other dude that pointed out, I also gave him my free award of the day. So if they don't see my comment, they'll see at least one of them.
Yeah. So I mean, the downgrade from Fournette to Dobbins is significant. Right now it just is like Fournette is the only guy that got work in the backfield last week.
He played every snap but like 6.
Yeah. And then, was Vaughn wasn't even active. Gio is on IR, I think. Like he's the dude, and they're going to be better. Probably, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Can't say anything for certain.
I would go as far as to say probably.
Probably. And then Kirk does seem to be a big step up from DJ. I'm still probably not doing that with his wide receiver depth. I'm not looking to take that running back hit to shore it up. I'm probably just going to hang tight and then hope DJ Moore or Gabe or DK all kind of show a little bit more than what they've done the first 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm with you. And with like this team is good, and I like having Fournette as that third back with McCaffrey and Aaron Jones as well. Like that's a solid lineup that you got. I'm not too scared. I'm not trying to sell low on DJ Moore and capitalize on Fournette at the beginning of the season. I'm staying put, and it looks like the trade chart agrees with that for that one. Cole Pearson here wanted to know, trade Mixon and Higgins for Travis Kelce. I saw them come in after that and say, oh, the trade chart says no. But I do just want to add, maybe it's no in this situation, but you've talked about this before, Alex. There's a premium for getting the one player, right? Like you do have to overpay if you're adding together two players and getting one player. It's not just do these add up to the same number.
So the one question I would ask, is it an 8-team league where you have a bunch of superstars and you can get and then having that difference maker of like if Higgins is on your bench, hell yeah. If it's a 10 or 12-team league, then it's like this chart is designed for 12-team where an 8-team or even 10-team tight ends and QBs, especially the top ones, they shift up, right? Those difference makers at the position, you can only start so many studs. So that's where maybe that it starts to make a little bit more sense. But in a 10 or 12 team, that's probably too much to give up. And maybe even still an 8-team, I would want to hear the rest of your roster probably.
And it's difficult to tight end is such a different position. We've talked about this on the show in the past where accounting for that positional scarcity can always be difficult. But I at first glance, that's a lot to give up for Kelce, considering that even when you factor in positional scarcity, I don't think that Kelce's a guy that is necessarily going to drastically outscore Higgins. Like you're trading two guys that could score the same amount of points as Kelce for Kelce. So in a trade like that, the positional scarcity has to mean a lot to you. It has to be like an 8-team team for the positional scarcity to mean enough to trade two guys that could score the same amount of points, because at the end of the day,
easily more.
Right. That's what I mean. It's like you mix in, we've never seen, and this is why I always say that I personally will always draft anyone I think could be the number one flex player before I take a tight end, is that we've never seen the tight end be the number one flex player. Not Travis Kelce, not Jimmy Graham. They've never finished number one. It's always been a wide receiver or running back. It's always been, it's been Cooper Kupp, it's been Antonio Brown, it's been a running back a ton of times, but you've just never flat out seen the tight end score the most points unless it's tight end premium, So you have to keep that in mind. That positional scarcity aside, it's the number one flex player has never been a tight end.
Yeah, I think unless literally both those players are on your bench in an 8-team league, I think it's going to be too much. I think you're absolutely right looking at it.
We had another trade come in here. This one from Tyson said, I just traded Nick Chubb for CMC and T. Higgins. I have a feeling the trade chart will like this one. I haven't taken that peek yet, but I imagine turning Nick Chubb into Christian McCaffrey plus T. Higgins is going to be something that this trade chart is happy about.
Yeah, Christian
About
McCaffrey is number one on the chart, number one value, 76. That's kind of crazy that he's still number one because it's not like he's been lighting the world on fire this season.
He was number one.
Heavily favors in standard. I'm sure it's a lot closer of a trade. In PPR, it's still a good trade. You still did great. You sold high on Chubb. You bought low on CMC, and I don't even remember because I blacked out once again after you got CMC for Chubb alone and a wide receiver. Was it
T. Higgins?
T. Higgins on top of that.
People are just constantly disrespecting T. Higgins. That's crazy.
Yeah, T. Higgins is good at football.
If he had just gotten the heels down this week.
Yeah, those heels.
He did, right? Or that was a catch, right? Yeah.
So it's the technical rule, and
I'm gonna roll my eyes the entire time you're saying this, Coop. I'm just gonna roll my eyes over and over again because it's so dumb.
Simon pointed out that this might be there's always that one play where they're like, oh, we got to change the rule. Like when
JL pointed that out. Yeah, it was JL here.
It's all right. Everybody does that, Coop. Don't feel bad about it.
So JL was inspired by Simon to say that. Michael Vick, when Michael Vick got tackled from behind and he broke his leg, and they were like, we got to come up with the horse collar rule or whatever. There's always that one play. This might be the play where they say, okay, if you get your toes in cleanly, 2 toes, then it's a touchdown. Because if he had gotten 2 heels in, it would have been a touchdown. If he had gotten 2 elbows in, it would have been a touchdown. But because it was his toes first, it's not. That's stupid. We always talk about toe drags and all this stuff, but I guess toe drags, if he had hopped in the air, then it would have been a touchdown. It's pretty ridiculous, that rule.
Yeah. We had another question in here. Zeke and Sutton for Jamar Chase. I would be making that trade for sure.
I went the Chase side. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the consolidation strategy, which is those are the types of trades I most want to make.
Yeah.
So Sutton 39, Zeke down at 23.5. That's 32.5, 62.5.
Oh, nice math.
Look at you're even getting the volume, right 60,
yeah.
66. So you're even getting a couple points there, and you're consolidating to get the better player.
It's not enough for Chase, to be honest. The Chase owner should hold out for more. Like that's.
Yeah, no, it's not enough for Chase.
But if you can get it done, then get it done. I'm all about that. Cole came in with some more info on that Travis Kelce trade, and it does make this more interesting. Offering Mixon and Higgins. Their running backs ahead of Mixon are Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley ahead of Mixon. And they also have Khalil Herbert and Akers. Then at wide receiver, they have A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Kirk, and Chris Olave on top of T. Higgins. And then at tight end, they've got Schultz and Conklin. So they got depth at those positions. I still think it's too much to give up. It's a 10-team league, but they got the depth. But maybe shoot a little lower. Like T. Higgins is a little bit too high of a piece to add on to Joe Mixon. Like try throwing Olave on there. You know what I mean? He just had a great game. He's had 2 games with 13 targets. I'd be a lot more willing to send Mixon plus Olave for Kelce than Mixon plus Higgins.
Or Higgins plus Herbert.
Higgins plus Herbert. Yeah, that's a great one as well. Just take Mixon out of the mix.
Yeah.
Mixing out of the mix.
If you have depth like that, Coop, which tight end would you want to target? Like Kelce and Mark Andrews are probably just too hard to buy. You think you would look at like Waller or Kittle, or are you looking just like, where are you going?
Mark Andrews has literally the best usage for any tight end I've ever seen. I've never seen the usage that this dude has with he has not blocked on a single pass play all year. He's played 90% of his
receiver.
90% of his snaps are played at wide receiver, almost 90%. His target share is like 34.5, which is impossibly high. Like it's perfect. And if the volume and they've also played less than 60 snaps every game. Like Mark Andrews is in this, like I had to move him up to tight end 1. You're still splitting hairs between him and Kelce, but I moved him ahead of Kelce just because I looked at it and I was like, I've never seen it this good. Darren Waller he's the only one essentially playing more snaps at wide receiver than Mark Andrews, 90%. And for him, it's a good spot. Like I know he's got more target competition than ever, which is what keeps him out of that top tier, but I think he's pretty firmly in that second tier. Him, Pitts, who is now up to, after the first week was terrible, his usage. They switched that around. Usage got better week 2. Now he gets the targets. They actually win. Like I think Pitts is on his way up too. And then if you really wanted to, Kittle, like I think those 5 dudes are still the top dogs. So I think you could go for Waller or Pitts, but if you could get Andrews or Kelce, you got to do it, man, because they are just a tier above. They are the clear focal points of their offense, right?
It's kind of interesting as Travis Kelce dropped off, according to the chart, by 10.5 points, value points, which is about 2 hogs.
2 hogs.
2 hogs, yeah.
He got to remember that, like, there are certain matchups that are brutal for tight ends.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really starting to look like Derwin James is like the tight end exterminator right now. I mean, he power bombed Kelce, like who's doing that? I think Kelsey's going to have plenty of good games.
Man.
I think it was an overreaction, him moving down as much as he did. I would still have him at I would have him touching Mark Andrews at the bottom of tier 2 in my personal trade chart, which I don't make, but like that, like everyone should kind of have their own values. This is a baseline.
Yes. So it's almost like this is the stock market, right? This is the stock market prices, and you want to, your values are going to be different, but this is essentially telling you how the market feels. And I love that trend aspect that you have in here, Alex, because that to me is one of the most useful aspects of this chart, because you can use that to essentially build trade offers that to people, right? And that it indicates that velocity of height, right? It's like height velocity essentially.
If you get that dark green guy, that's a good indicator that you should potentially be looking at as someone that you could trade away, right?
Are we just going to gloss over the fact that Alex said that on his personal trade chart, he would have Travis Kelce touching Mark Andrews'
I made a face.
I believe I said whenever he said it. I think I went
on my personal chart. I have him touching his bottom.
But we get these questions all the time about, like, should I trade this player who hasn't performed or is underperforming? Should I trade this player? And our response to that typically is no. Hold that player. Wait until they have a good week until that trend is going up a lot, and then try to trade them. Because if you're worried, of course, everybody is worried. And so you're not really going to get a good deal there.
I don't panic sell a DJ Moore right now. I don't know. You know what? That goes so far, but like sometimes if like Darnell Mooney, like maybe you're out for the year on Darnell Mooney, right? But maybe there's someone who still believes that they can turn it around. Then maybe that's a case where you trade a trending down player. Like
it goes back to keep going.
Exactly. It goes back to like these values show what the market's doing, but you got to predict what you think is going to happen next. Like, is this player's value about to rise and trade for him? Is it about to continue dropping? Like, get out now.
Yeah. In computer science, this is a concept in AI. It's this concept called like local maxima. So like you might feel like you're at the top of the hill, but you just don't know whether the next hill is going to be higher or if that is going to be, if it's going to fall off. And so determining how, where you are, that's your decision, right? As the fantasy manager to decide whether you think that's going to continue to trend down or up.
We had another question in here, Alex, from Nick. I saw you throw this in here a couple times now. I wanted to make sure we answered it. He said, would you trade Dalvin Cook and Davante Adams for Saquon Barkley and Devonta Smith? So Dalvin Cook and Davante Adams for Saquon and Devonta Smith. So this is kind of like what we were just talking about, right? But on the opposite side, like Dalvin Cook, you're trading him probably at low value right now. Like he's on a downward trend, but we assume he's going to turn it around. And you're trading for Devonta Smith after he was just the number one overall wide receiver on the week. So maybe at his peak value. Like I don't think we're getting too many close to 30-point games from Devonta Smith. But all that aside, what do you think is the move in this trade?
And Adams had a down week and Saquon had a high week. So you're literally selling two players low and buying two players high. This guy's from Reddit. He's like Wall Street Bets guy.
Right. Exactly, dude. This guy's got a portfolio full of GME, right?
And AMC. And Bed Bath & Beyond. Wasn't that one for a little bit right there? Like, didn't they go in on Bed Bath & Beyond for a minute?
I don't know.
Alex is like, yes, we did. Yes,
they just pick the worst. They just go out there and they pick whatever's a dying industry, and they're like, here comes the short squeeze.
Yeah,
the short squeeze.
I screwed around with that GME for a minute and did okay, and then I was like, I would wake up every morning and check it and just get nervous. I'm like, I can't do this. Is just degenerate gambling. I'm not going to do this anymore.
It really is. Anyway, yeah, that's what it was like with the AMC too.
I played that game with some Doge. Bought some Doge for like less than a penny, and then all of a sudden I'm sitting there and it's like $7,000. Then it crashed back down to earth. We didn't cash out at that peak, but you're right. It made me feel nervous sitting on those assets, just watching them.
Ooh, I see Chase Payne here in the chat. What up, Chase? Good morning. It's early for him. He asked, how can you trade away Antonio Gibson at this point? All formats. What do you guys think?
Screw Nick's question, right? Finish and answering that one.
Oh, whoops. I thought we finished it.
Wow, dude.
All right, finish Nick's question. Then
we called Nick a degenerate gambler and then started talking about stocks. Is that not answering the question?
Made fun of his behavior.
Moving through your stocks. Am I right? Yeah. What did the numbers say? Did we calculate?
Saquon is 73. Smith is down pretty low. He's at 13.5. So 86, 87. And then Dalvin Cook, who's on the downswing, he was at
63.
And then, Adams is going to be way higher than that. He's at 65. So you're looking at almost 130 to 87. And you're trading two studs for a stud and is Smith is going to be a stud? Maybe.
He'll have big weeks. He'll have his weeks in this offense, but I wouldn't call him a stud. Like he's not in that category with the other guys.
I don't think Saquon's that much of an improvement over Cook that I'm willing to downgrade a huge amount from Adams down to Smith. I think this is an easy no.
Yeah, he's the main target.
The instance where it might make sense is if you're like 0-3 and you have Dalvin Cook and you're just like, I can't play a week where Dalvin Cook is, I can't risk Dalvin Cook hurting you, not, giving me a 0 this week and then not playing the following week because Dalvin Cook doesn't have a hurt shoulder. Can't ignore that.
Even if I'm 0-3, I'm not making this trade. Devonta Smith is not the main guy on that offense. He had a very, very easy matchup this week against Washington that let him really take off and get all those points. Davante Adams is the main, there's no one who who's going to argue that Devontae Adams is not the main guy on that offense? And I agree with
what about Mac Hollins, dude?
Mac Hollins.
You beat me to it.
Dynasty wide
Damn
receiver
it.
one.
Star, stud, hog.
And I agree with Alex that Dalvin Cook and Saquon are relatively close. I'd rather have Saquon, but at this point, it's very close.
I see Craig in the chat. Leave AMC alone, dude. Sorry to bash your wise investment in movie theaters.
Movie theaters.
JL, I cut you off there rudely. Did we have a question from Chase in the chat as well?
Yeah, he asked, how can you trade away Antonio Gibson at this point?
I can't tell which way he's asking. Like if he's asking,
I know, like
how can you do it?
Good?
Like please tell me how. Like,
do
how can you possibly do it? Like
open up your platform, Chase. You go to your team, you hit trade.
Step one, make sure he's on your team already.
Yes.
If he's not on your team, it's going to be different.
Imagine if he was like, "Oh, that's the problem I've been having the whole time." Like,
yeah, that's what he really is asking.
I've been trying to trade him the whole time. He wasn't on my team.
I've been reading all these tweets saying sell high on Antonio Gibson, but I can't trade him anywhere.
That's like, have you tried turning it off and starting it again?
Yeah. So Antonio Gibson's got 18 points according to this value chart. It's gone down 5 points since past week. A tier 6 running back. It's around Josh Jacobs, David Montgomery, Dameon Pierce. What do you guys think about Antonio Gibson? Are you trading him away?
I think his value, like if we're looking at this, we're seeing the beginning of it continuing to drop with Brian Robinson sniffing, getting back on the field, right? Like this 5 points, I wouldn't be shocked if it was just we saw Brian Robinson catching passes. He's catching. Well, the problem is he picked the catch everything that comes his way route, and people are just throwing nicotine patches at him.
He ran into I was gonna go Girl Scouts, and then he was just like, every weekend he's out there. Or he's the Eagle Scout. Just every weekend he's out there catching patches, just making wood derby cars, and starting fires with magnifying glass.
Why does it sound like the title of a Frey song or something?
Catching patches.
Catching patches.
JL, you're much better at that than I am. But I wouldn't be shocked if this was just Brian Robinson being on the field and people seeing that, and we see Antonio Gibson's value start to dip.
Yeah, he's a tough one.
Help me trade daddy.
He would be one where if I had plenty of depth, I would be looking at Gibson plus a wide receiver for an upgrade to a team that's 0-3, 1-2, that has had some injuries. And that's the kind of trade I'm looking for. Is like maybe someone has a James Robinson, Kamara, Garrett, Najee, and they're upset and they're 0-3 because you're likely 0-3. Kamara, hell, even Kamara. And then you're looking at those people that you think are going to have a better rest of the season, and then you're looking at Gibson plus, I don't know, someone who's been doing well, Sutton for one of those type, or not Sutton's probably too high. Gibson plus maybe Drake London for a Kamara. That type of trade is what I'm looking at, where you can sell a wide receiver who's hopefully doing well, use that to mask the running back being alive and fine, and then maybe target one of those depreciating or underperforming higher tier running backs. That's the type of trade I'm looking at.
Would any of you guys do a straight up swap Gibson for like one of these like falling knife type guys who's, you look at the guys that are bottom of the league in quarterback rating. You've got like Baker is obviously very last, Justin Fields, Davis Mills. Like, would you do an Antonio Gibson? The trade chart suggests that he's right in the same range as like DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, who have been playing with these quarterbacks who have been struggling. Would you consider a trade like that, or you're not interested? Catching those guys that have clearly dropped on this trade chart.
If you're trying to get rid of Antonio Gibson, like if you're worried about Brian Robinson coming back, you have the depth, you're okay. You're just trying to capitalize on value. I'm fine with a player like DJ Moore. Like he's on the field and he is getting some targets, right? It's not the 163 target pace that we're used to from him, but he's getting 5-6 targets a game instead of 9-10 targets a game. And there's still value to be had in that. Hopefully the rapport with Baker Mayfield improves, but even at his like current spot, you can plug him in at the wide receiver position and hope that those 6 targets turn into something decent for him.
What about you, Coop? Would you do it?
Would I do that trade? Maybe for DJ Moore. I think that I don't think Baker is as bad as he literally, his quarterback rating is 18.8, which Justin Fields is 23. Like we're talking big bad, big time bad. Like Jimmy Garoppolo is bottom 4 and his is 10 points higher. So I don't think Baker can be that bad. And I don't think if Baker's going to be a little better, DJ Moore's got to be better. Real quick in the chat, I see last question: start Tyler Conklin or T.J. Hawkinson. I explained earlier why I really like T.J. Hawkinson a lot this week, and I think Tyler Conklin goes back to earth. Hawkinson catches those low 8-out passes, and they could be without Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. So Hawkinson, easy start for me this week.
Slam dunk. Home run in here cracking me up. Said, what are we doing with Kamara? I checked, and yes, he is currently on my team. So step one, check. Kamara's on their team. Now what are you doing with him, Alex? You mentioned that he's whenever you talked about these running backs with maybe like depreciating value right now, you brought up Alvin Kamara. Are you trying to trade for him because of his lowered value right now? Or if he's on your team, are you just holding?
Yeah, like I'm not selling him. I think he's coming back from the rib injury. I think he is just a very good player. And I don't think I've seen anything that makes me think that he's not still just a very good player. He just is special. So if you can get him, especially below the 41 value, like if you can get him more towards like that tier 5, I'm down for it. I'm ready to be hurt more because I have entirely too much Kamara, and he's been killing me. So.
I'll tell you what, dude. Like, even if he plays this way for the entire season, even if I make it all the way to week 16, he's playing exactly as he's playing now, I'll look at my lineup and be like, I trust this guy. Like that name to me, it means something. The guy
after he did for me in week 16 last season, he can do whatever the hell he wants on my teams this year. He can run around, call me names, and poop in my bed like Craig's puppy, and I'd still cheer for Alvin Kamara every single week. Now to follow up on that, home run is 0-3 and has Kamara on their team. So are you trying to move Kamara at that point, or you think he turns it around quickly and you just keep rolling with Kamara?
I think selling low on Kamara when you're 0-3 is how you become 0-4, 0-6.
Yeah. You're right.
That's not a move I'm trying to make.
Absolutely.
As an 0-3 owner of Kamara.
Right. Alex,
like that to me, that's the equivalent of like carrying Keenan Allen while he's hurt, and then the moment he gets back, you trade Keenan Allen. It's like you're carrying this guy through the bad games. We know he's going to have good games. He had 15 carries and 7 targets. If that guy's going to get those kind of looks, he's going to have good games.
Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on with us today and talking some week 4 trade values. Everyone watching, go and follow Alex on Twitter right now. He's on Twitter at PeakedInHS_FF. And from there, you can click that link to his Patreon. It's at Peaked in High School. That is high school with a K. Make sure you sub over there. Truly one of the most valuable resources in the fantasy community. Alex, thank you so much for coming on today, my man.
Yep, can't wait to see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week.
Daddy.
Come on, bring those guns back next week, Alex.
Trade Daddy.
Hoping.
Trade Daddy.
We got to get those. We got to get the gun show back. That's the only reason people are even tuning in is to see Alex in his mesh tank top. Like, I know that's the only reason my mom tunes in the mornings.
Strong nipples.
JL, feet as in the measurement or feet as in the body part?
Feet nipples. Yeah, the body part.
Yeah, of course.
In case that wasn't clear by how I said it.
Of course, that's what you were talking about.
I always like to think people are tuning in early from Moose and Keith, and they have to hear us talking about feet nipples. People that are like, I'm ready for some serious sports talk, and they're like, what are these idiots doing?
Feet nipples.
Well, we're talking about the very important things, feet nipples. And sometimes it happens. You know what? If you've got a nipple on your foot, no judgment. Sometimes nipples just grow. That's how they work. You cut them off, they grow back, and sometimes they grow back in the wrong place. That's science.
Salamanders.
Hate when that happens, dude.
I hate when that happens. When you accidentally slice off your nipple and then all of a sudden it grows back like your calf, and then you just got to slice it off again and go for round 2.
You know how much surface area I have on my calf? That would take so much time.
Then you have to sharpen your nipple slicer because it's getting too much use lately. Crazy, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
2 hours every 6 months.
Oh God! Now living in my mind is that video on Tosh.0 where the guy slices his nipple off with a razor blade. Go and look that one up.
Keith, end the show.
Keith, run the clip. I'm just kidding. Do not play that on the air right now. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Nipple Talk on the Front Yard Fantasy Show this morning here on Sports Network. We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time, as always. But if you want more of us before then, head on over to our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy. Hit that subscribe button and check out all the content we've got going on over there. Coop alluded to it. If you don't want to talk about nipple talk, nipples on feet, right after this, you got Moose and Keith. They're probably going to be talking about normal nipples, not foot nipples. So you can hang out with them after this. Then we've got some lunch money presented by Fantasy Guru, Corey Nando and friends. Stick around here on the Better Sports Network all day long for some more sports content.